Works. Doing
Welcome
everything
to
through OBS today.
Zanzibar's number one.
All right, I think it's working. All
live
right, ready?
video
Let's
podcast.
do the jingle, man. 3, 2, 1. It's Tech Talk. It's Tech Talk. Let's talk some tech. Yeah. All right, guys. What is up? Hopefully you guys are seeing this that have been hanging out in chat waiting.
We good?
Yeah, Toast. It looks like the audio is good. It looks like, I mean, if our first Tech Talk of the year goes off this smoothly, I mean, it might set a tone.
Dude, we even have live captions. I'm seeing this on the YouTube.
Ooh, did I do that? This moment. I must have accidentally pushed a button or something.
Let's talk some smack. Yeah. I see that's cool, man. We got live closed captioning.
Whoa, never would have expected that. All right.
Not that good. There's a few little blips. You know, I mean, it's YouTube and stuff.
It doesn't understand the Jerry English.
I'm shocked that it's like live.
It's working.
That's amazing.
Oh,
turn those off. I don't need to. Hello and welcome everyone to the first first Tech Talk of 2022, which BT Dubs, we may at some point, if and when this grows, I've discovered, I think it's Amazon actually has a show now called Tech Talk.
We're gonna get sued.
It's hosted by a very lovely lady. Her name is Nikki Sun. Tech Talk Amazon.
Oh, we're so
make sure it
sued.
is. I think it's Amazon. Okay, nope, that's a show on Prime. So hold on. Here, I'll find out. Tech Talk with Nikki Sun.
Oh yeah, we're so getting sued, bro. We had it first. Poor man's patent.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is. It is a new tech show called on Amazon Live, hosted by Nikki Sun. Hey, thank you guys for the.
It's okay. What'll happen is they'll sue us, and then we'll be like, "We got it from Jay's 2 cents," and then we'll have to sue Jay. Jay will have to sue the person he got it from, and it'll just be like this big human centipede of money, like leading all the way up to Amazon. And then somehow in the end, Amazon will still work, and we'll somehow still be the ones that pay for it, even though we came up with it.
Yeah, right.
Because
I feel like we're pretty safe though. Like we're doing a YouTube thing, and there's the Amazon thing, and there's already like an actual. It's like a TV show that they have on Amazon Prime. When I looked up Tech Talk Amazon, it brought me to Prime Video thing of like an actual show called Tech Talk. So I think we're okay.
All right,
I just thought it was funny.
Tweeting out everything. Yeah, you know what? It's not the first thing I've seen. I did a search for Tech Talk on YouTube about a month ago, and I saw probably 5 different distinct Tech Talks of like different live streams and different tech series that were called Tech Talk, but none of them were as old as Jay and I starting it. Like it seems like that was the first incarnation that we found of it properly being used for like creating video content. But it's been used so much for other things and just terminology and like, you know, tech writing and stuff like that. I don't see it being defensible. Like, I think it's, gonna be one of those things where the patents are going to be like, it's been out there so much and so many people have come to this conclusion that it's just not a defensible copyright.
Yeah, it's got to be just too generic.
All right, I just dropped us on Facebook, not on our head. All right, I'm dropping us now on the Twitsters. I'll go ahead and pin it there. And then I will go tell all of them because, you know, a lot of people were probably wondering where we're at for a while. So I got
actually, I did. I got an email from one of our, one of my previous sponsors for my video side. He's like, "Are you guys doing videos anymore?" And I was like, "Oh, I hadn't responded yet." If you're here, it was the gentleman with the Ghost Town website.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
I hope you're here. I haven't responded. I got it. Your email late last night, but yes, we do. There was just a bit of a holiday hiatus.
Well, I'm working on a deal right now where we might actually finally have proper sponsors for the entire Tech Talk.
Can you talk about it? Can we talk?
I don't want to say who it is, but it's somebody we both know.
Oh,
and they've already made a proposal, and it looks good. So, and you know me, my only thing with the advertisement, even on your side, is it just has to be something that's not a conflict of interest with the channel and something that's not a scam, right? As long as it doesn't do those things. So the offer that I got extended is from a personal friend that I know who has a business, and his business definitely isn't a scam because I've used his services before. So if that goes through, he'd be like our first sponsor for a show or two. But the thing is other people have shown interest too that have contacted me. where I've always been like, hey, just contact Aux, and a lot of them just haven't, because they want to sponsor an entire show, not just like a little like box on the screen. Yeah. So I was like, a lot of people are showing interest in that. So I was like, I think in 2022 we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna say, yeah, dude, the hell with it. We'll do it. We'll figure it out. We
got plenty of screen space.
Oh yeah, totally. No, and that's the thing is, I think it'd be cool. Just like down here, we got black bars and stuff. I really want to tart this up too. I want to make this look awesome, right? So once I do that, we'll figure out a way to do like the integrations in a non disruptive manner, and that way we'll be able to keep the show a lot more alive through 2022. Because honestly, it's like, I don't take sponsors in my regular content that I do and stuff like that. Right. So, but with the live stream and things like that, I think that it's like, I've seen it done enough times tactfully where it's not like blind promotion or misleading, and we can control what sponsors we take. Like, I'm not going to get a middleman who's just like, oh, throw this, whatever the dollar of the day is. There's enough people out there that are products and services that I use personally that have shown interest in sponsoring live streams. So, I'm gonna start reaching out. I'm gonna start seeing what I can wrangle us up. So here in the next couple of shows, we'll start seeing that show up. Somebody said definitely Puget. Yeah, no, I should do that. I should just hit up John and be like, hey, John.
I would know.
John, bro, I got this guy on my stream. He works for you.
I would want to hesitate on that personally.
I'm just joking. Really I wouldn't do it. Okay, I wouldn't do it. I don't even ask him for computers anymore.
I try to keep my work stuff separate.
Yeah, and I know.
It has been impressed upon me due to my position with Puget to be conscious of the overlap and stuff.
No, and I mean that actually makes perfect sense. I mean, even when I was at Microsoft and I was doing this, I had to be so careful not to like, say anything that would put them in a compromising position or start a rumor that would make them everybody start pounding on Microsoft's door like, oh my God, this guy said this on the internet. Like, is it true? It could even be something that was positive, but they just weren't ready for, the huge amount of people slamming down on them about it. So yeah, no, you do have to be careful. I totally understand and respect that. So again, any sponsors that we get aren't going to be like even subsidiaries of them. What's that?
Somebody said we all know it's Raycon.
Raycon's coming, guys. No, I'm just kidding. Dude, how bad would that be after all the shit talking I've done about Raycon and like Honey and what's the other Raid Shadow Legends, and we just literally have them all listed at the same time as sponsors on like the first stream, just getting like $25,000 a live stream. Each and every live stream, just be like, hey guys, we're all like, hey guys, we got to end Tech Talk today because we're going to go do Demolition Derby in our Lamborghini Huracans.
Rented.
Yeah, exactly. We'll pay the extra $50 for the insurance that's like ask no questions.
Yeah.
Do they still do that? Like if you rent a car, can you still get that insurance where it's like you pay an extra $50 or $100 and it's like basically you could drive the car off a cliff and you're still covered?
I'm not sure that it extends that far anymore. I think like Jackass probably ruined that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember back in the day they had that. Because I remember the first car I ever rented, they're like, oh, and for like $50 more, you can buy this. I think it was like $50 or $100 more, which is basically double the price of the rental, right? They're like, you can get our insurance where it's like, even if the car gets scratched or the wheels get rimmed or, you get in an accident or something like that, you're not responsible for any of it. Like, it won't go on your record. And I was like, dude, aren't people just like coming and buying this insurance and then just taking the car to the racetrack? And they're like, oh no, because like if you go on the racetrack, we know because of the GPS or whatever, and it'll like invalidate everything. And then I'm like, what if they're speeding? And they're like, oh, if you go over the speed limit, it invalidates everything. So it's basically one of those things where they sell it to you, and by the time you're out of the parking lot, they already have like 12 data points that they can say no. If you come back with any more than $50 of damage, they'll be like, oh no, GPS showed you made a left and a right, or you went left on red, and so they know all that information. And now Tesla's not making that any easier, right? Jeez. Like if you have a Tesla and you get in a wreck, you are boned. You are if you're in an at-fault accident, you are so boned because that car is recording everything that's happening into like what's that?
Everything. It's got so much.
Yeah, it's like a black box. It's like every single metric that you can think of. And people started noticing how much it recorded when this full autopilot beta or whatever came out. Did you see that? Where like to qualify for it, you have to drive like 100 miles perfectly without speeding, not tailgating anybody. Acceleration and deceleration have to be under a certain threshold and to qualify to be able to do the autopilot beta. So, but they tell you like some of the information that they gather on you and how, like how you're doing. And people were like, holy shit, really? My car's watching. And they're not gathering anything new. They're just showing you now what data points they're using to compute whether you're they trust you with the autopilot software, because obviously they don't want everybody to have it, because you have to be a person who's super attentive and paying a lot of attention, because if they just give it to somebody who's going to go to sleep on their drive to work, the thing's going to crash 90% of the time. Like, I don't know if you've ever experienced autopilot, but even like autopilot today, like in its good state, it's kind of cool the things it does, but boy, when it makes a mistake, it really makes a bad mistake.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be on it. Like, I watch so many YouTube videos of these guys that, like, they'll be in a parking lot and they'll push go, and it'll like drive into the oncoming lane of the parking lot, take like a right out onto the road, and then in the middle of an intersection, like it'll pull into an intersection, it'll just stop. And it'll just shut down. And it'll just stop, and then a human has to push on the gas and turn to get out of the intersection, because if it's ever confused, what it does is it just comes to a stop and it just refuses to move. So imagine if it was doing that. Imagine if you had autopilot on, you were turning onto a freeway, and it gets spooked and it just shuts down and you get T-boned.
Right. I saw
scary.
I saw Adam was like, dude, I'm so done with Tesla. And
I saw
like,
that. I could not believe that.
I'm so surprised, because he loves that car. Like, but I think it's more like he got one of the early super cool ones, and now like they're changing stuff and like going in a direction that is unsavory, I suppose. And I was like, well, damn it, I'm not going to get a Tesla 3 then. If Adam is pooping on them, then I trust.
Yeah, I don't even know. I haven't asked him yet if he still has his Cybertruck allotment. He might have kept it just because it's one of those things where it's like, if you get one, because they're going to be so late to market. If you get one, you'll be able to turn and flip it for like 100,000 over MSRP.
I'm stoked though to see other people coming into the EV stuff, like Rivian and whatnot. Like, that's cool,
dude. It's happening like crazy. There's already like 3 major Tesla competitors that are ready to come to market this year. There's at least, I don't think there's a single American manufacturer that's not making an EV now.
Oh yeah.
Like Ford makes one, GM makes one, Chevy makes one, Toyota makes one, Honda makes one. I think it was
Honda. It was either Honda or Hyundai or something like that. They completely shuttered their gas engine R&D division and shifted all of their engineers to electric.
It kind of makes sense though, because if people follow suit with California, which unfortunately a lot of the times they do, California's already like committed to, what is it, 2035, no more gas vehicles on the road there.
Wow.
Like, it'll literally
That's weird. How are you going to stop that? You're going to have people coming in from Idaho and stuff. Like, what are you going to do? Oh, sorry, you can't come into the state because you've got a gas power. Or is it just like, we won't sell them in the state? It's got to be like, you just can't sell them here.
No, that's what it is.
People from coming into the state.
True.
Like, that's
that's what it is. They said that you won't be allowed to sell gas vehicles after like 2035.
That makes sense.
But again, people still don't get, because they can't. Like, you can't just like rip out all the gas stations and kill all those jobs. And even if you did rip out the gas stations, there's no guarantee. This is the other thing that people don't really look at, that actually I think this would be a good talk to have while people are coming in here, is EVs are not this magical solution to everything. They actually end up creating a lot of problems that people conveniently ignore right now. And they're not small problems. They're astronomically huge problems. Like, the biggest one that I can see so far is right now, not enough people own EVs for it to be a huge problem because of the at-home charging mechanic. The superchargers don't fill up 100% all the time. There's not like a huge line to get supercharged most of the time. However, if you do the math and like 80% of the population has electric cars, not only does the power grid not support the at-home charging, so like everybody can have a supercharger, so now more people are going to the supercharging stations because they can't supercharge at home. Adam even said that he can't even get a 480 amp supercharger anymore. They discontinued it. Now they make one that's only half as powerful as the top one they have.
Do you really need a supercharger though? Like, come on. If I come home, I park the Jeep gets parked in the garage, and say it's full electric, it's going to sit in the garage for 10 hours, right? Like, as soon as I come home, I'm probably not going anywhere again. And like, how much did I really use up of the? It's not like I went to Olympia and back or something every day. Like, do you need a supercharger at home? Like, I feel like the average home electric vehicle purchaser, you just plug it in at night when you before you go to bed, or as soon as you come home, and that's it. Like, and then I feel like that would probably be enough.
The problem is the capacity of these cars. If you try to trickle charge over, say, 110, like just a plug-in, to charge a Tesla takes like 7 or 8 days.
Yeah, now that makes sense. You would need.
So you need at least a 220 supercharger.
Yeah, you need the 220 plug for that. Which, hey, come on. You probably like, that's not that bad. You got a dryer upstairs, right? Come on.
Yeah. Well, the problem is capacity goes up, and it is going up. I mean, the Roadster is supposed to have double the capacity, 600 miles or something like that. So you're going to end up having like these 150 to 200 kilowatt hour battery packs. And those, even with a 220 connection, you're going to start taking, 24 to 36 hours to fully charge the car.
Yeah.
So, and not that you need to fully charge. That's the thing, right? You're not going to need to drive 600 miles every day. So for the average person, they'll still be able to charge at home. But that brings up the second problem. And that is, even if you do charge at home, there's not enough electricity on the grid to do it. Like even if 40% of the population had EVs in areas where we have just like unlimited power, like we literally, like we have like the hydroelectric over here, right? They still running that stuff at full tilt couldn't support every single house pulling that amount of power constantly.
Right.
Charging that amount of vehicles. So the grid would have to be upgraded, which means for EVs to be realistic for people doing at-home charging, they're either going to have to do one of two things. Either they're going to have to start charging and meter it differently and charge an insane amount for the electricity, which then you've kind of, screwed people out of the discount that they get over gasoline, or you're going to have to require everybody that buys a Tesla to install an equal amount of solar that can handle the load for charging the car onto their house. So if you live in like California, that might only be like 6 or 8 panels. You live in Washington or Canada or something, you might need double or triple that to get the same power.
It's funny you mentioned, somebody else in chat mentioned like, oh, the Pacific Northwest rains a lot, so solar is a pain. It's not as bad, actually, even in a place like Washington. Like solar is still a very viable option for people here. Like, yes, it's cloudy a lot, but solar panels have gotten incredibly more like
reliable,
efficient.
cheaper,
I think
more available.
We're coming up to like 40% efficiency on these things and stuff. The problem always comes back around to storage. Like, what do you do with the power? Like you're not constantly sipping at the electricity you're making. So what do you do with it? And that's where I think, is batteries, man. You need power walls or a bunch of marine cell batteries stacked up in your garage or something to hold on to it all.
Or you sell it back to the grid. That's what most people do. Is they just sell the energy back to the grid. So like your neighbor's microwave oven and electric mower and everything's running off of your solar panels instead of the grid, and that way they can run the hydroelectric at a lower kilowatt rating.
I always like the idea of little turbines like up on the roof. My parents looked into it down in California. They were looking at like what makes sense on the property, right? Is because it's like Northern California, you'd think solar would have been, just rack up a few panels in the back 40 or whatever and you're good to go. Now like they had a guy come out and look at them and stuff, and he's like, nah, your best bet would be to get one of these like 1100 or it's like 1100 watt turbine. The thing's like 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And because like there's like a pole that used to have the like phone lines on it for the property or something.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, man, we'll put one of these up on that thing and you'll be golden. Like you'll getting paid for the power with just one of these guys. It was like and it wasn't even an expensive job. Like it was like $1,000 or something for the turbine, and then maybe another double that for something for the install and wiring and all that.
Yeah, I've actually seen a turbine that can do. There's a turbine that does 100 watts on Amazon that the dude did a review of. I watched. I want to say it was like $500 with like the inverter and everything. It was like a full kit. That's just like wire this into your board, and basically your house will use whatever power it feeds into the board. It'll use that first before the power coming in through the mains. It like blends it together. Using like this,
nice.
but it was like $500 or $800 or something like this. It's a tiny little thing. You set it up on like the weighted tripod out in your yard, and it's also designed like you can take it camping and stuff like that. But at its peak, like you'd have to be in like a gale force wind, but in a peak it can generate 100 watts of power, which is like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about LED light bulbs and stuff only needing like 10 watts. Yeah, it's like that's a decent amount of power, and then multiply that. Go get like 5 or 6 of them, right, and stick them on the spar on the top of your house, like along the roof line or whatever. As long as you're in an area that's somewhat windy, and I think it's cool because it also works at night. That's the thing. As long as you got wind, it works. So if you have constant wind and you live in like Chicago or something, stick one of those out on your patio. You got power.
And it remarkably doesn't need as strong a gale as you might think too, because like they got good gear ratios and stuff on that. Like even the big monster ones that you see out in the fields out in
they
like
spin it like 2 mile an hour winds or something.
Yeah, like a breeze. Just once that thing is moving, it doesn't take much to keep it moving. It's cool stuff. I dig it.
The other problem that they run into though with the power grid is one, they can't generate enough power if everybody's charging at around the same times. So they would have to do like a staggered thing where it's like some people charge during these hours. And then if you plug in your car, you basically go into a registry and say, I charge between these hours. And then they balance the grid that way. The other thing is if everybody puts solar on their roofs and stuff like that and people charge during the day, that solar overload that would go into the grid would get used by the electric cars mostly. And that would help buffer and keep the dog off the electric company's lawn. But the biggest problem is they have to rerun all the wires because all the wires right now are only set up for 200 kilowatt services to the houses by default. And so the mains that come into those neighborhoods are designed to only carry enough electricity for, with some overhead for 200 kilowatt services to these houses, plus some having more than that. So when you look at that, if everybody's house has to end up updating, because we have we improve battery storage. Now we have, 1,000 kilowatt hour battery packs in our cars and stuff, like to be able to have everybody be able to charge those, you're going to have to redo all the wiring, all the transformers. I mean, it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a huge infrastructure upgrade to support this because, and the thing is, we did do a lot of good work, like going to LED bulbs and stuff like that, and even making laws to not sell incandescent bulbs anymore. Just that one move literally saved 80% of the energy that was being drawn. But we basically ate that all up and then some with computers and crypto mining. And I mean, it's like we've kind of eaten into that. I bought us some more time, but that's gone. So once all these EVs start rolling in, I don't know how we're going to charge them. I don't know the supercharger network. So if you're out driving around, your battery's low and you need to stop for a supercharge, are there going to be 100 people there? Because they can't put superchargers as densely packed together as gas stations, because gas stations, you're bringing the fuel in. So you can literally have 8 gas stations right next to each other if there's demand for it. You can't do that with electric because there's not enough grid power coming in that area. And you can only put superchargers where it's right next to the grid, where they can pull, tens of thousands of kilowatts off the high power mains. You can't just stick them everywhere.
Right. It's going to be a big, just a massive infrastructure change.
Yeah.
But man, not to go down a weird political route or anything, but the country has needed a major infrastructure project like the highway system for a long time now. Whether we put a bunch of money into a high-speed rail system or a massive project into electric chargers at every gas station. Every gas station will get 2 of them at least to start, right? Or something or a bunch of money being dumped into hydrogen, something. But we've been aching for a massive federal infrastructure project for a long time.
Hydrogen that never makes it because there's 2 things that kill hydrogen. Too dangerous, and it takes more energy to extract the hydrogen than you get from the hydrogen. It's the same problem we have with alcohol. We're we got all this corn everywhere. Why aren't we just running cars off of ethanol everywhere? Why are we mixing it with gasoline? Well, because to run pure ethanol, your car has to be tuned and have special fittings and stuff like that, which all new cars do. New cars,
you burn out spark plugs real fast. Everything just because it burns so hot.
It burns 30% more fuel. To get the same energy out of ethanol, it takes 30% more mass of fuel to generate the same amount of power as gasoline. So there's a lot of reasons not to, but the biggest reason is alcohol. To get alcohol from the corn, you're actually using more power than you will get out of the alcohol. Whereas with gasoline, through the refining process, you're actually using less energy to extract the gasoline from the crude oil than you are getting the alcohol out of the corn, if that makes sense. So so that's why, ethanol, and the funny thing is, if you go to the Midwest, ethanol is dirt cheap. You can get ethanol because corn is just so massively available. And it's just everywhere in the Midwest.
It's massively subsidized by the
that is
government.
True. That is very true. The government is picking up the bill on that.
Corn, that's why we have high fructose corn syrup into everything. That's why our gasoline is cut 10% with ethanol. Or even E85 in some places.
The thing I like about electric, though, is and this is why electricity is the future. Even though I say there's going to be some teething issues and some problems, and the numbers don't make sense right now, and Elon's just ignoring all that. The one thing I will say is the energy goes directly from the source to use. So when you're using hydroelectric, right? It's you turn a turbine with incredibly high efficiency, and that power goes right onto the power line. You're not having to store it. You're not having if we do store energy, how do we usually store it? We use a gravity battery, right? We take the water and we move it up to a higher place or on the other side of the dam. If we have surplus power, we turn on pumps and we pull water back up into the aquifer. And so we have those storage methods. But the nice thing is they're very efficient. This is a very efficient use of energy because you're going right from the production of that energy. Doesn't matter if it's wind, doesn't matter if it's solar being probably one of the less efficient ones. Like wind is more efficient. The hydroelectric is more efficient. But even with the solar, it's like as long as you're getting the power directly and you're feeding it into the grid, there's very little loss. When you're talking about stored fuel, when you're talking about gasoline and stuff like that, you have to, the refining, it takes a bunch of energy, right? So it's like the refining takes energy, the storage takes energy, the transportation takes energy, and the distribution takes energy. And it's like by the time you get to the end, it's taking, 4 times the fuel to get the energy that you purchased. Like it's just not economical. It's like we've made it more economical over time using like diesel electric trains to move stuff around, better routes, better shipping stuff, bigger boats. We've done all these things that have improved that process, but it's pretty high. It's optimized to death. Like, but when you go to power, it's like if we could just figure out, honestly, the biggest breakthrough isn't generating the power. We're pretty good at that, honestly. Like even if we got fusion tomorrow, our grid isn't up to solving the problem of delivering that much power to everybody. We'd still have to fix all the other problems. But the one thing that would solve everything is local storage. Like if we had a Tesla Powerwall that could actually store a decent amount of power without parasitic loss, and everybody started installing these, and then your neighbors all started putting solar panels on top of their house, and new construction would require it, just like in California. Like if you're building a house, just like putting a roof on your house, you have to have a solar array with so much kilowatts based on your square footage. If they did something like I suggested, where when you buy a Tesla, they actually require you to also buy maybe not a full solar array to like charge the car 100%, but you should have to subsidize the power by like 50% of the charging of the car with a solar array on top of your house. And then if everybody did that, you'd have so much surplus electricity during the downtime when the cars weren't charging that you could actually make up the other 50% of the charging for your neighbors and stuff, and then they would be paying you for that power instead of the power company. And then the power company would be able to maintain power production at the same rate or less than it is right now, and we'd all just be selling power to each other. It'd be like this democratized power grid, just like everybody, same thing with cryptocurrency and all that. It'd be the same thing. We would just become the power company, and then the power company would just be the company that's like making it all, that holds the infrastructure that facilitates it all. And I think that'd be cool. I like the idea of selling power back. Like I talked to, my buddy has a solar array on his house, and his power bill, even in the dead of winter, which is like the worst time for solar, you make like a third of the power production in the winter that you do in the dead of summer. Of course. Because the angle of the sun and the cloud cover and all that stuff. But even in the dead of winter, his power bill for like heating his huge house, so his power and electrical heat. And he says he pays like $35 a month for his power bill. Awesome. And it used to be $450 a month in the winter. So he's basically paying $35 a month because the solar is still pulling in enough power to sell enough back to the grid that at night when he's using grid power, he's already gotten a bunch of money from the power company for selling his neighbor's power during the day. And then at night, he basically just spends that money to get the power back when it's the cheapest. Yeah. It's really bizarre how it works. And I've talked to people that live in California where they just get paid. Like they have a big enough solar array on their house that they get like, $100 a month paid back plus free power.
Yeah, that's what the estimate was for my parents with that wind turbine. Is like they would have been up like a couple $100 a year on power. Because like at some points you would have to be buying it from the grid or whatnot.
Also, don't get distracted by it's a wiener dog. I get distracted. Don't get distracted by all these like new energy YouTube videos that you're seeing everywhere. Like, I noticed somebody talk about liquid metal batteries. That's actually, liquid metal batteries is a proven technology. But the thing is, I'm seeing a lot of people on YouTube respinning these technologies that have been around for like 40, 50 years. They just never became mainstream. And they keep spinning them over and over again. And they don't talk about the shortcomings. Like a liquid metal battery has a huge fundamental problem, and that is a liquid metal battery requires a certain amount of heat to make it molten. You have to put a ton of energy in to start the process of making the battery molten before the metal goes from a solid to a liquid and it's usable. So that's a battery that you have to keep going all the time. If you let it go dry, then you have to put a shitload of energy in it to kickstart it to get the energy out. So that's why you don't see a lot of people using liquid metal batteries. There are places where they're really good. Like there's special applications. Like if you're in an area that has like, thermal vents coming up from the earth that you can use to basically preheat the battery. So it takes less energy to get it into its molten state and then use the battery itself to maintain that molten state and always have power coming in guaranteed. Then it's a great battery, just like flow batteries. Flow batteries are amazing. Look up flow batteries. Greatest technology ever. It's been around forever. You basically just pump what the equivalent of saltwater electrolyte up to a big tank, and you use an electric motor that it basically generates the power for when you prime it, and it pulls the electrolyte from one side of the tank to the other. It's basically like the battery in your car. You're just sucking the electrolyte out and putting new electrolyte in. When that goes dead, you suck out the electrolyte, put new electrolyte in. So, and then when you're done, you pump all the electrolyte back to the other side and basically put it back into its original state where it's in a charged state. And so these liquid batteries are amazing, but the problem is they weigh 1 billion freaking pounds and they take up a shitload of space for the amount of power they store. So you're trading off the efficient, and you can't pull a ton of, but like they're not lithium ions where you can just pull like 400 amps of power off of them. Like you need a lot of them to get high amperage. But if you have a lot of space, like at a wind farm, for instance, you could set up a bajillion of these things. You have like so much open space on the ground. You could just set up huge, cheap metal buildings and just fill them with these batteries, or even just bury them. And then you could store all the excess power from the windmills into these flow batteries. And they last for like freaking ever. They're super low maintenance. It's great technology, but nobody really looks at it because they're like, oh, Powerwall, you can pull 400 amps off this and it's 1/10 the footprint or whatever. But, and the cost is similar. But the problem is you have to throw them away every, like, you know, what is the equivalent 200,000 miles driving a Tesla, and it's basically useless, right? So lithium is not a good idea. And that's one thing like Elon really screwed up on, is Elon's putting all these lithium farms all over the place. And he knew from the get-go that the lithium batteries have a pretty finite lifespan, and that lifespan actually is dramatically lowered the more you use it, right? They're rated in cycles of charge and discharge. So he knows that, and when you're talking about a power grid where you're loading these things up and unloading them constantly all day and night, every single day, he knows these things aren't going to last forever, but nobody really thinks about that. So he just builds it. You're like, wow, this thing, it looks great. It's cost effective. It's amazing until it comes up on its battery service. You retrofit and go through and shut that thing down and replace all the batteries and bring in the new ones, and then pay for the disposal fees and the recycling of the old batteries, which recycling lithium ion batteries is really difficult to do, by the way. Once you look at all that, it's incredible. It's not cost effective at all. So it's one of those marketing experiments where it's like, yes, he makes it, he sells it. Powerwalls are cool and they work, but when you get down the road where it's dead tech, now don't get me wrong, a Powerwall will probably last for a really long time because you're not constantly pulling off of it, right? You're using the grid during the day. At night, you might pull a little off of it if you're off the grid. If you're on the grid, you might use the cheap electricity at night and then charge it up with that cheap electricity so you can use it during the day. Because Powerwalls are also good for, I don't know if you knew this, Aux, but the Powerwall is actually a good investment for some people, even if you don't have solar or any windmills. Because what you do is you put the battery pack in your garage, right? Yeah. You can put it on the outside of your house too if you want. I wouldn't though, because people probably come after it with a crowbar. If they're stealing catalytic converters, they're going to steal your Powerwall. Right. So the Powerwall, what you do is in a lot of places, power on peak is really expensive. Like for instance, here in Washington, I think we pay like 15 cents per kilowatt hour, which isn't that, it's like 2 cents more an hour, right? It's not bad. Yeah. But there are places like in California where it peaks out. Like it can go from like 30 cents a kilowatt up to 50 cents a kilowatt. At that point, you're basically doubling how much you're paying for electricity when you use it at night. So what you do with the Powerwall is you charge, during the day. At night is when the power gets cheap. So because nobody needs air conditioning at night. So so at night, what you do is you use that power to charge up the Powerwall. So you set a schedule. The Powerwall charges up during hours where electricity is cheap, and then during the day, your house pulls from the Powerwall and not the grid. So you're basically getting electricity way cheaper than all your neighbors, even though you're just getting electricity off the grid. And the only difference is you're pulling electricity off the grid when you don't need it to use it when you do. So it's just a it's just a UPS and a battery to save you a bunch of money. And even if you use it just in that capacity, the payback is still like for some people, like in really expensive electrical areas where they use like coal and gas heat, gas electric. God, you can repay that Powerwall in like 6 to 10 years. And then after that, it's just, it's like, it's free. It completely paid for itself. So everything it saves after that is just free. So you don't even need solar panels. You don't need any of that. You can literally just charge up during off-peak hours.
There you go.
Yeah. But the problem again that you run into is the same problem people are starting to see with Teslas now. And I'm sure you've seen this in the media like crazy lately. People that are like taking their Teslas out and blowing them up with, Centex and taking them to the wrecking yard and putting them in crushers and stuff. And you're like, wow, what? Like, why are you doing that? These perfectly good looking Teslas. Once the battery is dead in a Tesla, to replace that battery, even with the cheapest available battery option that Tesla offers, it costs way more than what the car is worth with a good battery in it.
Crazy.
So it makes no sense. It's actually cheaper for you to throw the car away and get a brand new car, like with the new like what is it, like dividend or whatever you get from the government, like the $7,000 or $10,000. By the time you go, so you can go buy the new better Tesla and it's actually cheaper than you fixing the old one. So people have said that this is the first, I think it was Matt Farah actually from the Smoking Tire. He coined the phrase that Tesla is the first truly disposable car. Because the number of people that are buying a new battery pack when it's not in warranty, when it's in warranty, they'll replace it. But out of warranty, once you get a Tesla and you're out of warranty, nobody buys the battery pack for $17,000 plus labor to install, because you can't, you're not allowed to do it yourself. You can't buy the battery pack yourself. You can buy a secondhand battery pack, but there's no way to know if it's going to have a problem or how long it's going to last you. And it's a hell of a lot of work. So
that doesn't sound like a good idea.
So unfortunately, everybody, when these cars age out, they don't resell them. They just destroy them or take them to a wrecking yard or scrap them, because for the aluminum, because there's a lot of aluminum, there's a lot of precious metals and aluminum and stuff in that car. So it's worth recycling. But it's kind of sad to see, because you're like, here are these great cars, like, you know, that everybody touted, like, oh, they'll go forever, they'll drive further than gas cars, they'll have lesser maintenance. But if the battery dies and you can't afford to replace the battery economically, then none of that other shit matters. It's like saying, oh, I have a car that can go 10 million miles, but every mile you drive, gasoline gets more expensive until you can't afford it anymore. What do you do? And so that's a big problem, and it's really showing its face right now. So I think, you know, Elon, he's a little nervous about it, because it's definitely like picking up momentum in the news. These people making YouTube videos being like, oh, battery died in the car. Oh, it's reduced capacity, reduced speed. It says service. I call up Tesla. Tesla quotes me $17,500 for the battery for the lowest capacity battery. That's the one that only goes, I think, like 150 miles or 180 miles.
Get out of here.
And labor to install it is thousands of dollars too. And if you don't do it at Tesla, they won't warranty the battery pack. So if you buy a battery pack from Tesla for $17,000 and then install it yourself, then it's not warranted, which means you don't get a renewed warranty. So because of that cost, and because Tesla's, you know, used Tesla right now, you can go buy for like, you know, $20,000, $30,000. It doesn't make sense to buy a $20,000+ battery pack to put into the car. Well, it still has all that mileage and everything on it that's going to make it undesirable on the secondhand market. So what do you do about that? Like, how do you solve that problem? Because Elon said that, one, he said he thought that the batteries would last to like 1 million miles, and that's not happening. They're lasting to like 150, 200,000 miles.
That's crazy.
And the other thing he said was the batteries would be cheap now. And that was a really bad call, because battery technology has gotten a lot better, but to get a battery pack for your car today still costs roughly as much as it did when Teslas first came out in 2012.
Crazy.
Like, so basically they went up in capacity, but the cost stayed the same. They didn't. So there needs to be an option where you can go and get a battery from Tesla, even if it's recertified or something like that. Get a battery cheap.
Didn't Tesla like release all their patents to the public domain, right? Like batteries, motors, all that stuff.
But everything on their car is chipped. It won't talk to anything that's not Tesla and isn't married to that car.
And that's fine. That's fine. But like, and it's only been maybe a handful of years. So like, I don't have these like wild expectations or anything, but like, it seems to me like doing so would provide the space for a sort of like universal tech, right? Like, you know, Toyota and Honda basically use the same, right? Like, it'd be like every car uses the same gas, right? For the most part, outside of like some very specialized like niche, you know, uses. But like the average consumer car, everybody uses the same gas. So I don't see why we couldn't head in that same direction where like, well, everybody just uses the same batteries. Like, it doesn't matter. I can just go to Shucks and grab, like, there'll be differences, of course. Like if I spend, you know, I can get a better battery from these guys instead of like the cheap one or whatever, but it's all basically the same tech. Like, isn't that the direction that we should be heading? Like, that should, it's sort of like, and I get it. Like, Tesla doesn't want you to use schmucks batteries or you know, die hard battery. They want you to come to their and use their special thing, which fine, whatever. That's their right.
They want to sell you a new car though. That's why the pricing of the battery pack is so high.
I mean, it's the Apple philosophy, right? They want you to buy a new phone. They don't want you to replace the battery. So I get that. And as distasteful as that is, that's part of the market, and that's fine. They can do that as long as there's space enough for alternatives, you know?
Yeah. Well, the problem is now that the batteries are all dying, and it seems like they're all dying relatively around the same time, just out of warranty. Like, Tesla really nailed the warranty. Like, these batteries died just out of warranty. Like Tyler Hoover from Hoovy's Garage bought a used Tesla. It was 3 months out of warranty, and the battery pack died on his drive home from buying it. So they've got it really, really dialed in for when these cars die. But now that people are understanding this, people used to think like, oh, you go buy a Tesla, I'm not going to have to buy gas or do any maintenance or replace anything. But if your battery replacement is $20,000, that ends up costing you more than the damn gasoline and, well, maybe not the gasoline. The gasoline would add up more of that over time usually, but like the oil maintenance and doing the maintenance on the brakes and all the stuff that you don't have to do as much maintenance on the Tesla. That stuff that you were like, oh, I'm saving all this money. It's like it was just deferred, because then you just get hit with this giant bill in the end. And then if you go to sell the car on the secondhand market, that used to be a good plan, right? Let's sell it before it dies, and then we'll get the most equity out of it. But now that everybody knows that the Tesla batteries die around these times, if you go look at the mileage for the cars, the price drops off exponentially. So you can go buy you can buy a Model 3, like, well, not a Model 3, was it like a Model S P85D or whatever, that's like near its battery end of life and out of warranty for like 20 grand.
Wow.
Like Adam's super fast $150,000 car. You can buy that for, well, not the same as his, but pretty close. Like 20 grand, but that's with like a dead battery. So you got to put another 20 plus grand into it to get the battery and the labor. And then even after that, the car is still out of warranty. So if anything else dies on that car, which Tesla's actually notorious for bad electronics, as the other shit dies, you're still having to replace that. So it still becomes a money pit. And now more people are realizing that. So the secondhand market on the cars, the prices have gone way, way down. So now it doesn't really make sense. Like all the people that bought a Tesla thinking, oh, wow, look how much money I'm saving right now, which is great. They had a plan out to like 10 years and they're not going to get there. Most of them are not going to get there. And so yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a bait and switch that, it sucks. And did Elon know about this? Of course he did.
Well, he must, right?
Of course he did. Like, he can't, this is all, no, the dude literally like built a battery factory and manufactures these batteries and stuff. He obviously knows what he's doing. But again, if he told everybody, hey, if you buy this $60,000 or $90,000 car, you won't have to pay for gas for like 10 years. And then as soon as the warranty's over after 5, the thing falls over and dies on you and you need to pay $20,000 to fix it. Nobody'd buy the damn car. So it's kind of a shitty situation, honestly. Here, I want to thank some of our supporters here, because you guys honestly make it possible for us to do this. Eric G, thank you for the $2. Said, hey guys, just dropping by to show some support. I appreciate it, brother. Jake Hudson says, Happy New Year's, guys. Thank you for the £2, Jake. Happy New Year's to you. Meat Puppet 007, thank you the $5. He said the 2035 no gas vehicle, as far as I know, only applies to semi trucks and ports. Could be wrong about that. The thing I saw also applied to the sale of any new vehicle. For street use. You can still sell like side by sides and stuff like that, but for recreational use. But I saw it was for in Southern California. The thing that I read said that it was for all vehicles by 2035 on the road. Let's see. Aaron Maddox, thank you the $5. Said, great show as always, guys. Any recommendations for beginner 3D printer? Happy Sunday. Well, I'm planning on getting back into 3D printing, so I don't quite have the answer to you exactly from personal experience, but from watching other people and watching Joel and all the other big heavy hitters in the 3D printing community, it looks like a good first starter printer would be something like Creality CR10. Those are about $299 for the base model, and it's kit you put together, and those work pretty good. If you want to go a little bit more than that, go get yourself something like Prusa. The Prusa printers, they're quite a bit more expensive, but like just absolute perfect like results. I love Prusa printers. They're absolutely phenomenal. And plus you can 3D print 90% of the parts to fix the machine with. So the first thing you do when you get the machine is just print a whole bunch of spare parts. And that way, if things start running out, you just pop on the new part and then print out some new spares, and the machine perpetually, keeps itself alive. That's what I love about printers that are built for mostly 3D printed parts. Another option that people don't really think about is SLA, or was it stereolithography? No. What is it? Something stereo. God, I'm so far out of it, I don't even remember the terminology. But SLA, basically turning a liquid polymer into a solid with a laser. Or using UV light. The machines are so cheap now. It used to be like my Form 2 over here was like a $4,500 machine. The liquid resin for it was like $200 to $400 a liter. And now you get to today, you can go buy something like an Arctic, who makes it? There's 3 or 4 on the market right now of these SLA printers that have decent build volumes, not as good as FDM, but you can get them from anywhere from $200 to $300. $200 to $300, and the material is about $20 to $30 a liter.
Nice.
So you can get a printer that can print, and so they're messier. Don't get me wrong. SLA printing is very, very messy. You want to wear gloves and have a ventilated area because of the fumes. But the end result, if you're making miniatures and stuff, is you can print down to 10 micron. It looks like an injection molded part. It's just crazy. For $300, you can print like miniatures that look like they actually came out of an injection mold.
Nice.
with the details. So depending on what you want to do. Oh yeah, Elegoo Saturn. That's a more expensive one, but the Elegoo Mars is a cheap one. But yeah, that's what it is. Mass stereolithography. So these printers, the material is cheaper now. The resolution is absolutely phenomenal on these things. If you pay a little bit more, you can get larger build volume ones for still under $1,000. But other than the messiness and the fumes and stuff like that, the end product is freaking amazing. So ask yourself this when you're 3D printing, because everybody I know that's in 3D printing has both of them. They have an FDM and they have an SLA. And the reason why they have both is because FDM gives you a wider gamut of materials that you can use. They can do a lot more different things, like different properties. Resin does too, but not as many. So FDM is good if you want to build big, strong parts and prototype stuff. Nice. SLA is better if you want to print stuff that's not as strong, but is more accurate.
Yeah, like minis and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you want to print like a bearing for your, and you can actually print bearings. It's pretty funny. You can print a functional bearing on like an SLA printer.
I would think so.
Down
Yeah,
to 10 microns. That's itty bitty. That just works. FDM, you can print a roller skate bearing. I've done that before, and it's actually pretty smooth. But you have to have a really high precision FDM to do it right, where it'll break apart and the little balls will roll around and everything. But it's like depends on what you want to do. Like with FDM, if you're printing bigger stuff, FDM. If you're printing smaller stuff, SLA. And then that's the most economical way to do it, because printing really large stuff on SLA gets pretty expensive really fast. But again, materials cheaper for both. The printers themselves are super cheap because they used to need these lasers with high precision servos and optical, networks that would focus the laser perfectly down to 10 micron as it's moving it around on the bottom of a vat. Now they solved the problem by just making UV curing resins that just cure with UV light, and then they just put a screen under it. So you basically have a screen wherever a pixel lights up is where the layer cures. And the thickness of the layer is dictated by how far the plunger pushes the platform down, because it prints upside down when you're printing SLA. But man, the results are cool. They're amazing, guys. They're absolutely amazing.
I like it.
We got another tip in here. Hold on, let me see. It's it's from Aaron again.
Thank you.
Hi, Aaron Maddox. Oh, sorry, no, that was the recommended 3D printer. Why did that pop up twice? Oh no, here we go. It's Leslie Monroe. For some reason, didn't pop up in the main list. Thank you, Leslie. Said thank you. The £5 said Happy New Year, dudes. Hope you and your families are well. Stay awesome. I mean, we're doing as well as you can expect with everything going on. We're all vaxxed up and boosted now, though, which is wonderful. Yeah. So one less thing to have to worry about like every single day of our lives. We still do, but
yeah,
doing our best. Hey, sir, can you take over for a few minutes? I got to run down and use the little boys' room.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, I'll be right back.
Right on.
Ox, you have the con.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Let's see if we got anything in the chat to mention here. My money not showing up fancy. I don't know. 500 pounds. I love maths. That's such a weird one for me. Like, what? How are there more than one math? Isn't it all one big collective? Like, how are there more than one? I don't know. Let's see. China has a market. They're also a large manufacturer, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they also control all the rare earth metals. Like, of course they would. 20 years old. Man, I don't know. Hydrogen's a weird one. I don't know. Ox Q&A. Yeah, what does Ox know about? Random topic. Do you have toast or French toast pillow on your chair? Oh, it's a regular toast. It's very smooshed. Any upcoming miniature PC builds? Yes, actually. Don't get over us to show us the dogs. Yeah, I'll just move out of the way. You can see Daisy sleeping there. Yeah, actually, a buddy of mine, a guy I work with, he's selling me his end case with a bunch of custom loop stuff that he had planned to use, but decided he didn't want to hassle with it all. And so, yeah, here pretty soon, we'll be diving into that. I need to find the CPU block that he's selling me is an Intel block, so I'll need a motherboard and proc for that. But that shouldn't be too difficult. And actually, here pretty soon, I'm making some moves, and there should be more of that sort of content coming soon. Can you give a brief recap of the Pluton processor? Yeah, sure. Although it'll be like a pre-cap because we haven't talked about it yet. I guess so. The Pluton, and this I'm kind of jumping the gun on a proper topic that we should both be talking about, but just to kind of prep for it, it's a TPM solution that is built into the processors. From what I quickly read beforehand, they've been using them in consoles. The Xbox, I think, since the Xbox One, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it's so basically the idea is TPMs are sketch because if you have physical access to the device running the TPM, you can, there's like man in the middle attacks, or like physical, like you can sniff at the data that's actually passing through the wires and stuff before it gets encrypted and stuff like that. So this is the Pluton thing is built into the CPU, so there's no it kind of eliminates that physical access violation, I guess. It also, the article I read about it also mentioned that it kind of helps. I think it was partly in part because of the like Spectre meltdown stuff. This will help to alleviate that. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Pluton? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like why would it be so important to protect against an attack from a bus analyzer? Like, yeah, the only thing I can think of is like they're worried about people, cracking encryption keys and stuff like that on like console gaming systems, that and piracy and laptops and stuff like that.
I think that was the big push in the article I was reading. It was really pushing on laptops because like corporate espionage and stuff. Like, oh, I left my laptop or it got stolen or something. If you have something like BitLocker, that's not quite enough because they could crack into the and then sniff the board as they're trying to get at that data or whatever. I'm not a hacker guy, so I know I'm kind of dumbing this down, but yeah, it's to avoid that. I really and like you said, consoles and stuff. It's to keep people from cracking the Xbox S and loading a million games onto it and stuff, so you can emulate the emulate discs like the old 360s, right? You can buy Xbox 360s with like 2,000 games like on the drive.
I actually have two Xbox 360s in my garage that are permanently banned off Xbox Live.
That's funny
because I pulled out the CD-ROMs and I did the little hack on them with the JTAG or whatever. And did you hear how they caught them? So the person that basically all it does, the hack does, is it basically hacks the firmware on the DVD drive to lie and say what media is loaded into it. So when you put the CD in, the optical drive tells the CPU what type of media is installed. Is it like verbatim rewritable media, or is it authentic Xbox 360 media? Right. And so what this does is it just basically lies to the console and says anything that you put in it is 360 authenticated media. The problem that they did is in the firmware that they overwrote, they made one letter capital that was not capital on the previous firmware. When it IDs, when you get the meta information, it took them a long time to figure this out too, but once Microsoft figured out that there was a single character difference between the two, they were able to issue a thing to the network to query the hardware information from every console. And if anyone came back with that capital letter, they just instantly and permanently banned it from Xbox Live forever.
Wow.
So I had two consoles in one day that I went and plugged in, and I was like, they pop up and it's like, you've been permanently banned off of the Xbox network forever and ever and ever, you dirty little pirate son bitch. Yeah, so pretty much all they were good for after that, once they can't connect to Xbox Live, all they can do is play whatever version of the game is still on them. But at that point, you can just hack them. You can just put another JTAG on them and hack them and install, like the there's like a front end. What's it called? I can't even remember.
It's like a different dashboard, right?
Yeah. It's like a totally different dashboard. You can run emulators and all kinds of stuff. So what I used them for after that is I just ran emulators and played like PlayStation games on my Xbox 360. It's like, it was kind of cool. But I just thought that was really clever. That just that tiny little mistake, somebody just changed. Which normally, if you did a case insensitive string compare, it would pass every single time. But somebody thought, let's do a character by character analysis and see if what's different. Because it lied back. The CD-ROM would lie back with the wrong, with the meta information on the drive, and they overwrote it. And somebody during the process of this hack put in that. And I don't know if they did it on accident because they're like, oh, this should be capitalized, and it's not in the regular firmware, or if they did it because they wanted something that they could kind of be a nod to be like, this is my calling card to show that I did hack the firmware on this drive and it's my hack.
Yeah.
But he ended up giving them exactly what they needed. The single character was all they needed to blanket ban every single console. Now, the downside to it is there's a bunch of people that were selling CD drives that had the broken firmware on eBay and not saying what it was. So people would buy a new DVD drive when their console was dead, install it, turn it on. They'd immediately be console banned for life off Xbox Live, which can't be undone, by the way. That's there's some people that have claimed they've done it. No, it's not. It literally gets banned off the Xbox Live network by the CPU ID of the console, which is permanently soldered on the main board. So you're not, unless you do more than what buying a new console would do, you will never get that thing back on Xbox Live ever.
Didn't they shut down support for like the 360 and stuff on Xbox Live anyway? Like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all dead now.
I think I think at this point, I'm pretty sure, very confident that the original Xbox, there's no Xbox Live support for the original. Maybe still for the 360, but I would think not.
No, they use third-party stuff now. Last time I played with an original Xbox, it was a homebrew Xbox Live. Like you had to go in and add a server with an IP address and everything. They just simulated it. Yeah, no, it is too. Like you can, and they're actually really easy to hack if you can find one now. The original Xbox is like super duper easy to hack and install. I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was like XBL or something. Xbox. What the hell was the name? But somebody will know in chat. What was the name of the software for the original Xbox that had like the really cool like acid green menus and stuff, and you could go through and select like your media and watch movies or open emulators and play Nintendo games and stuff? I can't remember what it was called.
Was it Xbox Aurora front end?
No, it wasn't Aurora. It was God. It was called like shit. I can't remember. It was so long ago. I don't have any original Xboxes though. I ended up selling all mine. Although I did take one to GameStop that was banned. Because that was this was XBMC. That was the one.
Okay.
XBMC is what I used. But I remember I took one of my, because when they were broken, I was like, screw it, I'll just take them in with a bunch of my games and trade them into GameStop, and they'll give me $20 for the console or whatever. And no shit, they plugged in the console to test it, and I didn't think that they were going to plug in a network cable, and they did, and they turned it on. Nice. People have been trying to pass them, fucking modded Xboxes, and sure enough, it pops up and says, this Xbox has been, is gone off the internet. They're like, oh, sorry, we're not allowed to buy these. And I was like, oh no big deal. And then as soon as he said that and he rung me up, the employee like followed me out into the parking lot and was like, hey dude, I'll give you $10 or whatever for if you want to get rid of it. And I just gave it to him. I was like, here, I'll take $10, because he obviously was just going to go and homebrew it and put a bunch of shit on it, even though GameStop's not allowed to buy them in that state.
Right.
So probably for like legal reasons or whatever. But I thought that was funny. He ran out. He's like, dude, no, I'll give you $10 for it. He's like really stoked. He's like, oh man, thanks. Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm interested. I want a hacked one that has all the bunch of games and stuff on it. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, no, I have a it's funny though, some consoles do not hold any value later in life. Like because I have a lot of retro gaming consoles. I honestly need to just sell them all to Metal Jesus, because I don't have any room to set them up, and I don't have a CRT or anything like that. And they don't look as good when you hook them up with a upscaler. Right. But I have Dreamcast. Those held their value really good. Nintendo 64s, those held their value really good.
There's like a weird wave.
Yeah.
It's like the original Xbox is probably like in a good spot as far as like reselling, but like the newer ish ones, 360, PlayStation 3, that kind of stuff, haven't quite gotten to a point where like people want them. Because like a buddy of mine has been collecting old consoles and stuff, because he's got like this weird crazy cyberpunk array of like CRTs and like he actually has one 13-inch like broadcast monitor.
Those are awesome. Like, the Sony, the ones that are really deep and then tiny screen on the front.
And it's like the crispest, most clear CRT you can possibly buy, kind of thing.
Those used to be he's like throwaways, dude. Those used to be things you couldn't even give away to a secondhand store, and now people are paying hundreds of dollars for them in the secondhand market.
I think like N64-ish generation is like the newest that are kind of becoming hot again.
Dude, I have the most. Actually, I'm curious in chat. Let me ask you guys a question here in chat. What console do you think is like the absolute most worthless, like retro console? What retro console do you think is the absolute worthless, like absolutely no value on the secondhand market at all? Not the games, but the console itself.
Probably like the Panasonic Jaguar or something.
No, dude, it'll surprise the hell out of you. Like you won't even believe me when I tell you, but trust me, I've tried to sell it like 3 times now. So
Sega Saturn.
Nope. That's even actually Sega Saturns are worth pretty good money. No, the PlayStation, the original, OG Sony PlayStation is the most garbage resale console. I don't know if it's because they just made so many of them, But I tried to sell mine 3 different times. Went and looked online. These things sell for $5. $5.
There was quite a few versions of it too. Like you had the original PlayStation, the PSX, and then they did I think 2 different small versions of it. So yeah, I would think there's a million of them. It was one of the best selling consoles ever.
Yeah, but still, you'd think, my God, that would have some value. It doesn't though. Huh. I still have one in a bag. I've tried to sell it 3 or 4 times now. I've taken it to GameStop. I tried to sell it locally on Facebook, and everybody lowballed me and was like, "I'll give you $5 for it."
Huh.
And GameStop, even, I don't even think they buy them anymore. I think GameStop's they don't buy them because they can't even sell them because they're just you can get them anywhere for $5. And I'm like, that is one of the OG amazing consoles that there are so many games for. It was revolutionary. How the hell did it not retain its value? I still have it with I have the original Dance Dance Revolution pads that I bought for it, and I have 3 of the DDR games for it, even the Japanese one where you have to do the little hack where you put in a game and then slow down, open up the lid on the console and hold the spring down and pull the disc out, put the new disc in, put it down, and then you get it to read it and fire it up. But you cannot sell the damn thing. I know there's a version that does though. There is a version of the PS1 that sells. I think it's the one that has the diagnostic port or something like that on it. There is one model that sells for more, but even that one's not worth that much. But I was surprised.
And why this guy Andre Silva says in the PS2 is backward compatible. So why wouldn't you just buy a PS2? And because then you could play all your PS1 games.
Yeah, but you think retro collectors, right? It's not about just being able to play the games. It's about actually having the original consoles and the original controllers and everything. And the weird thing is the console's $5. The controllers you can sell for 10 or 15. So the controllers for the console are actually worth more than the damn console itself. But I was kind of surprised by that because I went and priced out my stuff. This was years ago. This may have even changed. I don't know. I really go to eBay, see if anybody's selling. But I priced out all my consoles that I had in storage. And because I just want to sell the whole lot. And I was a lot of these were worth more than I thought. The Nintendo 64 was worth more than I thought. The Sega Saturn was worth more than I thought. Then I had a couple of games for the Nintendo 64 that I couldn't believe. One of them's over $100 that I have that I just got at a garage sale for nothing. So I go through and look at this, and then I pull up the PlayStation. I'm like, man, this got to be worth some money, right? I got all this shit. I even had the Goldfinger expansion for it, and I put it out there. No, nobody buy it.
Huh.
So I was somebody would have bought it for $5, but I wasn't gonna sell it for $5. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Maybe they made a comeback in the last couple of years because I haven't checked. This has been years. This was years ago when I did this.
Right.
Let me look at let's see here. Buy it now. Sold. I want to look at sold though because there's people asking $100 for them. There's no way they're getting that.
Right. You got to look at the sold.
Yeah, I'm looking at sold right now. Okay, so scrolling through sold. Looks like it's mostly just games.
Yeah, man. Russell Sainz is making me feel old calling a PS1 retro, but you aren't wrong. Yeah, man. It's very retro. It was I want to say it was my 10th birthday, 11th birthday. I had a choice. My dad was like, I'll get you either the PlayStation or the N64, whichever one you want. And I went with the N64. And I should have went with the PlayStation because PlayStation ended up having more games that I actually wanted to play. But N64 was still cool. I was I got Hexen and a couple.
I love 007 really with cool. The controllers.
Oh yeah, the long gangly GoldenEye was freaking great. Yeah.
Okay, so January 8th. Okay, that's today. So today, a Sony PlayStation PS1 console with all AV cables and 2 controllers, like new condition, tested $51.74. Yeah. That's with 2 controllers and all the cables. That's still more than I found before. I mean, I was literally finding this bundle for $20. So It's obviously on the upswing. So maybe I'll just hang on to it until I'm 80 years old and then sell it.
Hey man, that's the ticket. I put a bug in my stepdad's ear. He has an original NES with it must have been some sort of holiday combo because it's got the NES, a blaster, like the regular blaster, and I think it's the combo cart that has Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt on the one cart, with the original box, all of the packaging, the
packaging,
the styrofoam,
the
plastic,
console.
the styrofoam, the plastic. I think he even still has the original receipt. And I'm like, dude, just put that away somewhere and forget about it. And he almost gave it to his daughter and her husband as like a wedding gift.
Yeah, like open it up and plug it in.
They would have, and I was like, please don't. It was the power kit, something like that. It's a big freaking box. It's like a 3-foot box.
It's the one I got when I was a kid. It's like the one I got when I was like 7 years old or whatever. My parents got it for me for Christmas.
And I'm like,
they had the blaster and it had the Mario Duck Hunt cartridge is the most worthless NES cartridge ever made because everyone came with every console.
Right.
So it's not the game that makes it rare. It's the freaking all being bundled together in original packaging.
And serious business, man. The thing is like mint condition. Like you just got it yesterday kind of thing. He's that kind of guy too. And he has an Atari. Dude. He's got I can't remember what flavor it is, but
2600. That was like the
I can't
OG.
remember. I think it must be, but it works. Like and that's it. But he's the kind of guy, he likes tinkering with that kind of stuff. Like he has a N64 that he's been playing a bunch on, and he's rebuilt the controllers like 3 times, getting like better parts and stuff and all this stuff from Japan and whatnot to keep his OG N64 controllers working. He likes to tinker like that.
Yeah, I should pull out all my retro stuff and start photographing it and just throw it online for people to, look at some old stuff. Wow. Because I even have an Apple IIe like all wrapped up in a box, not the original box, but it's like all packaged really well and stored away. And I hope I open it up and it's not like full of rats that ate it or whatever. I'll cry. The reason I bought it was because it's the first computer I learned how to program on when I was like 7 years old, right? Like back when I was, literally in like it was like kindergarten. No, it's first grade. It was in first grade. I was mentored by my friend Kevin, and because he was in the Running Start program, which was like young geniuses, and I was the kid eating glue, so they paired us up so he could get some points, I could get some points, and hey, the rest is history. I grew up and went and worked for Microsoft and did a lot there. So it's cool to have that stuff. It's like really nostalgic. Like I even have a Nixie tube calculator that Adam got me that's absolutely amazing, like a fully analog Sony Nixie tube calculator from like the 50s. It's definitely going to be a display piece on this desk once I get this room sorted. But the retro collecting stuff, I absolutely love doing it. I just don't have the space for it. I kind of figured at some point I'd be able to just turn my whole garage into like a man cave and set up all the consoles and do all this stuff. It just never happened. And so I probably should sell that stuff on to people that will do something with it. But when I went to Portland Retro Gaming Expo with the boys, Metal Jesus, Drunk Master Paul, voice of the Big JB, Kinzilla, all those people, when I was down there was a guy who had like it was under glass, like he actually had a glass cover for it just because he didn't want anybody touching it. It was the original, just like you said, it was the original master. Oh no, it was the robot one. So there was a NES kit, like the 8-bit NES, original Nintendo Master System, or not Master. Yeah, was it? Yeah, Nintendo's Master System or whatever they call it. It had the robot. You remember the little robot? It was like Robbie the robot or whatever that would like pick up discs, and there was like a game in there that you played games with this little robot. And he had it in the original packaging, still shrink wrapped with a KB Toys sticker on it for the price. Like it was perfect. It was a flawless, like if you sent this away to be verified, it'd be a 10 of 10. Like no dents, no rips in the thing. It was absolutely flawless and vacuum sealed. This Rob the Robot kit, which like just like they had the blaster kit, they also made this Rob the Robot kit, and he had it there, and he was selling it for $80,000. And there was people coming up constantly trying to offer him like 65 grand, 70 grand, and he was like, nope, like because that's how rare that was to have. He didn't know how many of them there were in the world, but he wasn't able to find another one that was in the box, shrink wrapped in that condition with the original sales. Like the original little price tag that said KB Toys on it.
That's cool,
man. And I was like, dude, that is like so sick. That is such a flashback from my childhood. Because like when I was a kid, that was probably, I don't know, a couple $100 for that kit.
Easy.
And it's like, just imagine like buying that somewhere and just sitting on it for that long. And then it being worth like 80 grand to some dude who will never open it. Nobody, they'll x-ray it and look inside and make sure it's in there, but they will never ever open that till the end of time.
I'm in that mindset too now. Like, like the Marvel stuff or whatever. And if you like, I got a few of these. There was like a 25th anniversary MacD's Happy Meal Pokemon card booster pack things, and I was able to get a couple of them because I was a little late on the draw, and I opened one of them just to look at it, and then the second one I put it back in the box, and now they're like squeezed between a book up in my shelf. I'm like, just squat on them for a bit. Hey man, some of that stuff. Like I have this old Pokeball thing with a gold plated Togepi card or something inside of it.
Pokemon is big business right now.
and mine's a little dirty and stuff. It's collected some dust over the years and whatnot, but it's nothing. It's not worth anything really yet. But those sorts of little things, Lego sets and whatnot, that kind of stuff becomes. I mean, by the time I'm another 35 years under my belt, who knows?
Yeah, Krillin corrected me. Yeah, no, I misspoke. No, it's not the Master System. That's Sega's first console. It's Nintendo Entertainment System is the NES. But no, I mean, I love retro gaming because it's like, it's a look back at your childhood and it brings back, flashes you back to memories of the good times when you were a kid and you were like playing like my Atari. I used to just play the hell out of pole position, man, all the time. To me as a kid, I was like in a race car driving around a track. It's like my imagination made that shit HD, right? And then you play and it's like,
it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah,
you can see like 3 inches in front of you on the track. But but no, I love the concept of collecting. I think collectibles, they're just going to go up in value too, because everything is digital now.
Yeah.
We live in a time of everything digital. Nobody owns anything. So it's like getting a hold of that retro stuff. That they're not going to make any more of it, like from that generation. So it's like that stuff's hugely collectible. That's kind of why I still want to hang on to some of this stuff, because I think if I just wrap it up and saran wrap it and seal it and put it into some climate controlled storage, which I should have done honestly years ago. I hope it's not all destroyed. I might pull it all out and it's all destroyed because it's in a dry space, but it gets really cold and really hot. So that heat cycling and cooling might have done some damage. I'll have to go check out. I'm a little afraid to like go through all my shit and see what it is, but I do like the idea of retro collecting. I think it's amazing. I love that you can sit on something that's like, it goes through a phase of having value, then having no value, and then coming back to having value again.
Right.
And a lot of it. And it's like you go to Retro Gaming Expo and it's like, old Atari shit that failed. And the stuff that's worth more is like the stuff that failed, the stuff that didn't sell well. And that's the stuff that's worth crazy money.
There aren't a lot of them. People throw them away or like the ET, right? The ET.
Yep.
That legit. I love that rumor. For 30 years or whatever, people say, oh yeah, they buried a bunch of them out in the freaking Arizona desert or whatever, and then come to find out, like they actually did. They found the freaking hole in the desert that they buried 3,500 of these copies of ET. Yep. It blows my mind. I think that is so freaking cool, man.
Yeah, it's a documentary by Cinemassacre from James Rolfe. You guys probably know him as the Angry Video Game Nerd. He did a feature length documentary, cool. Not just a documentary. It was meant to be funny and it's comedy and there's a story to it and stuff. So it's not really a documentary, but it is actually real at the end. Like the place that they're out digging, this happened. They went and dumped like millions of these ET cartridges, brand new in the box, in the ground, funny. And you can go out there and just like dig them up.
Yeah,
like there's so many of them. Like even today, they haven't found them all.
Yeah,
so that's crazy. I can. I was gonna say,
Power Kit.
Oh, you were talking about the collectibles and like opening one. You opened one of yours. So I committed the ultimate
very
sin.
Carefully. I took like a razor blade and I sliced it right along the like peel apart thing and like. Yeah, I was very careful about it.
So do you know what I did years ago for the YouTubes?
What?
Oh my God, I didn't know it was going to piss people off so bad. Like literally, my intent was not to piss people off, even though in the video I think I even say that. But it's let me see if I can find the video here, because it didn't get me very many views because it was like early on in my thing. It was, let me see here, Barnacules Collectibles X-Wing. Let me see if I can find the video. Yeah, so I made a couple videos.
Hey, what's
And 2014, this was a while ago. So I went and bought, if you guys haven't seen it, only got 57,000 views. So it's actually, here, let me put it in chat so people can go and cringe at this. If you're a Star Wars and a collector fan, you're going to hate me for this.
So you guys, the chat was saying that the combo kit that my stepdad has was called the Power Kit. I think you guys were referring to the Power Set, and that's not the one. This has a power pad. And the blaster.
That's the one with the Olympic. What was it? Something Olympic Games or something?
Yeah. He has a different kit. It's a black box, rather than this one is like kind of blue, which features the power pad, and it says Power Set on it. This is a black. It's like the classic black and a kind of reddish color scheme, and it just has the console, a blaster, maybe 2 blasters. I don't remember. And 1 or 2 games in it and stuff. I'd have to poke around to find the exact kit
it's the one with the Mario Duck Hunt. So it's Mario Duck Hunt NES sets.
We're gonna get all distracted.
We are. Oh, here I found it. I already found it. Here, I got an image of it right here. Here, I'll post it in chat. So is this the one you had? Here, you can look in chat and click it.
YouTube link.
Yeah. Go check it out.
Pin image. Yes, that's the one. The action set. Yeah, that looks right.
Yep, that's the one I had too when I was a kid. I remember opening that under the Christmas tree and I like just flipped out because my parents were like, we didn't have hardly any money growing up, so it was like they had to save up a long time to get that damn thing, and so it wasn't just my gift; it was my sister's gift too. So it was we got like socks and underwear, and then that was our one big gift to share.
Because like somebody's trying to get $800 for basically the kit that my stepdad's got. It's in the plastic, everything in the styrofoam, like it's basically brand new. That's cool. Trying to get $800 for it.
Wait, really? For like packaged and sealed?
Yeah, like the picture shows it. It's not sealed. Like he's got the styrofoam out of the box, but everything's wrapped in plastic.
Got it. Okay, so I was gonna say the sealed ones are like $80,000 or whatever.
I would think. Yeah, I would think like brand new, still vacuum packed or whatever. Yeah. Let
me see. Is there anything selling on eBay that's like this crazy set? I'm curious.
Yeah, right.
It's nuts. Well, so that video I posted earlier in chat, the one that pissed so many people off. You go read the comments. It's like the dislikes are through the fucking roof. What I did is I went with Chris Perillo. He invited me over to this guy's house who had an addiction collecting Star Wars stuff. He actually got caught by his wife. Like the story is, he got caught by his wife years and years, and this is a true story. He was hoarding stuff, like going everywhere and buying stuff at like swap meets and every single Star Wars collectible he could find for like 20 years. He was buying this stuff and just hoarding it. And he was putting it in a locker, and his wife found out about it. It took her 20 years, but she found out about it, that he was literally spending thousands and thousands of dollars and putting this shit and hiding it away from her. Well, when she found it, because they were on, they were having money issues. So she found it. She's like, it has to go. You have to sell it. You can keep a couple things, but you have to sell everything. And so I was one of the lucky people, like one of like 3 or 4 people that got to go to this guy's house. Because he wasn't the type of guy that he would have a garage sale or anything like that. He was kind of a shy dude. So we got to go over and we got to meet this guy. He ended up being awesome. And he had everything laid out, and it was more Star Wars stuff than I've ever seen in one place in my entire life, including like a convention. This guy had literally 1,000 items in his living room, just everywhere you looked. And so Chris and I went through and got to cherry pick the whole set and make deals with him. Well, I ended up buying like, I think 6 or 7 things. I got like an X-Wing, a B-Wing, a Y-Wing, all of it. So my buddy Graham from Volair Media, he has it all now. He is the curator of the set now. But I brought it home and it was all mint in box, sealed. Like literally I could have taken it, and I mean, I went and looked online. It's like a couple of items I had were worth like triple what I paid for it, because I got this guy gave me really good deals. And so it wasn't like super expensive, but it was all stuff that was going to be instant classics, right? This is all stuff that was low production numbers. And so I go on the channel and I'm like, I'm going to open these retro, new in-box items for you guys and review them. And it's like, as soon as you open it and take it out of the box, it's like 1/10 the value. Like instantly, even for these that are only like 15, 20 years old, it was like just instantly killed the value. And I unboxed everything. I want to say I made like 2 or 3 videos, and then I stopped doing it after that. Even though I still opened the boxes, I stopped doing videos just because it was pissing so many people off. Because it's like, oh my God, I've been looking for that in box forever. I can't find one of those for under $100. And I'm just sitting there just tearing into it. I'm not even being careful with the packaging, and I'm just like tearing the boxes and shit. Oh my God. Did that just created ragers. So if you guys want to see that, so I learned my lesson. It's like, that was back in the day where like, shock value was fun in videos. It still is, but I was like, I didn't like the way that made me feel afterwards. I was like, that was a shitty thing to do. It's kind of like Whistling Diesel going and buying like a Toyota Hilux, like one of 2 in the United States, and then just dropping it off a helicopter and smashing it when it's like the best, most pristine example. It's like, it's going to make collectors cringe. Yeah, it's the locker gnome dude. Yeah, Dick was asking if it was the locker gnome guy. Hey, Meat Puppet, thank you for the $5. He said, it's called Xbox Media Center. So
for the front end
XBMC.
thing, yeah.
That's right. I don't even know. It was an open source project. It might even still be continued today.
Wait, is it the Death Star or is it the Star Destroyer?
Wait,
I have a massive Lego set. It's a Star Wars flavored one. I can't remember if it's a Death Star or a Star Destroyer.
There's no way it's the Death Star. That thing's like $500 or something like that.
Well, a very well-to-do, generous friend of ours gave it to me for I think it was Christmas.
I forgot. If we're talking about Adam, that's like literally like he pulled that out. That's belly lint money.
It's the big one. I can't remember, but it's a humongous cube of a box. And I can't recall. I'm trying to look for the. I'm trying to look. But the Death Star ones that I'm seeing are like it's like the open. It's like open one.
No, there is a giant closed one. It's just so expensive. Not a lot of people got it, and it's like 1 billion pieces to put together.
Yeah. I know, it's like 11,000 pieces or something. But
Chris
none of the
one.
pictures
Chris
I'm seeing. none of the pictures I'm seeing of the Lego Death Star kits match what I have in my brain. I'll have to go look at it. I think it might be the 751591 Ultimate Collector Series Death Star.
Yeah, I keep finding pictures of the silver one you're talking about, and I haven't even seen that one in person. I've only seen the closed one.
I don't think it is this 751591 or the 10188 one.
Yeah,
I don't think it's either of those, and that's why I'm thinking, well, shit, because it's definitely not the 10188-1 Ultimate Collector Series Death Star. That's way too small. It's not that one.
You know what Adam got for Xander? He got him the Saturn V rocket.
Dude, that's sick.
Dude,
the thing that it's like 3 feet tall, right?
Yeah,
it's
when
like
you build it,
yeah.
Yes. We still have to sit down and build it just because it's dedication, dude. It is a lot. I looked at it when we got it and I was like, holy crap, that is a lot of pieces to build this thing. So, but no, I want to build it, and then I know people like kind of frown on the whole gluing it together, but because I have a kid that actually wants to run around and fly it, I want to glue it.
I would. I'm
never going to sell it ever. I don't sell gifts.
This kills me. I had a Lego Star Wars the Pod Racer kit. It had three of the Pod Racers and stuff. Yep. And I knew even back then when I got it, like, this is a special thing. This is important. And I did actually glue about half of the thing together. But man, over the years, like it was something I kept at my dad's and stuff. And over the years, I know it's just gone. There's no way. It's been 20 years or something. But man, dude, that's one that I'm sad.
If you did a live stream of you building that Death Star, dude, it would just go, I mean, every night just working on it for like an hour or two, dude, it would go so viral, man.
I know, but I want to wrap it in plastic and in like black plastic and go hide it somewhere. I don't want to touch it. Honestly, like,
you want it's that in my closet. The next like super collectible down the road?
Kinda. And I know this one is, though. Like, they only made a couple thousand of these ones or something. And
Legos are weird though, because I've seen Legos that sell like out of the box and put together. Like, I've seen them sell for near what they go for like in box later on.
I've seen that too, especially the ones that come with like display stands and stuff.
Yeah, because they don't do big runs. They're all limited runs. So like in box, obviously that's going to be like worth the most money, but there's a lot of people that just want to display them. So as long as it's put together correctly, you know, and it looks good, they'll buy it in that shit, like just like that, and figure out how to transport it and everything.
I'll have to go look at it, because man, now I'm not sure if it's.
I think it's even gone up too, because I remember people looking for that thing, because it was like, I think they only made like 500 of them or something. It wasn't a big run. Maybe
I wish I could see better pictures of these boxes.
Yeah, this one right here, the 10143. Here, I'll put a link here. Tell me, this is a guy selling one on eBay right now. Hold on here. Let me get my thing up here. Put it in chat there. Is it this one? So
it's a cube. The box of it is a cube. It's big. Now I'm itching at it, because it's not the Death Star 2.
Oh, never mind. This is just this Lego Star Wars Death Star 2. Oh, is this just a calendar? No, it's got all the pieces. Oh, this is the Death Star 2. This isn't the original one. Never mind.
The box is, that's why I'm thinking maybe it's the Star Destroyer. Because like I'm seeing 75-252, maybe. That looks more of a cube. I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, dude, if you find that, I want to see it. Dude, if it's the Star Destroyer, that's $1,000, dude.
Even now?
Yeah. Shit. Right now. Here, I'll post the link right now. Oh, let me look at sold though.
It's not 10030, I don't think. Because I know the box is almost completely black. It's a cube. It's almost a perfect cube.
Yep, the Star Destroyer is the perfect cube. I bet you this is it. Here, let me
I don't think it's 10030. I don't think it's that one.
What about 75-252?
That might be it. That sounds familiar.
Because this is a grand, and it's a perfectly cube box. Like, and the other one wasn't. Right. The Death Star wasn't. So it's kind of weird that the Death Star is not in a cube box, but the Star Destroyer is, even though it's not a cube.
Yeah, Jake Hudson says you must have either the 2002 or 2019 Star Destroyer. I'm starting to feel more confident on the Star Destroyer.
Here, why won't it let me copy this damn link?
Yeah, I know, right?
Let me copy the link. Because I bet you this is it. Everything you just described like fits this description.
Can we move or just share your screen for visual aids? Oh,
unfortunately, I could just run upstairs. I only have one screen connected. There we go. Try that one in chat, guys. So here, let me see if chat's going to refresh now.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a perfect cube box, just like you said. My God, $1,000 already.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
And it's selling, because if you look, it says already 5 available, 16 already sold. This is a buy it now auction. And they've already sold 16 of them for a freaking
And
grand.
it's not super perfect. I think there's like a little bit of a ding on the top of the box or something. It's not super perfect or anything, but you know, I play the long game.
The thing is, I don't know very many people that collect Legos. Like they like to display the boxes, but I don't know very many people that just like display the box with the Legos in it. They usually build the thing and display the thing next to the box.
Yeah,
because that's like how you do it, right? I mean,
yeah,
the cheapest Star Destroyer is the Imperial Destroyer, 6211, $135, and it's still going. Like that's how many bids it's had so far.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this one then. And yeah, I'm seeing them sold for about $700.
The cheapest one that I found so far is $550 for the 75-252 that I posted, but that was pre-owned, assembled with like the original packaging and everything loose.
Oh shit! Yeah, this guy has sold 16 of them for $950. That's not bad.
So this is big money, dude. Honestly, I'd camp on that one.
Yeah. God,
it just blows my mind. That absolutely blows my mind what this shit is worth. It's just plastic.
You know, maybe I put it together at some point, like for some big anniversary or something. If they dig the put together with the box on the side kind of deal.
Yeah, dude, the sealed Saturn V rocket right now.
Give me a sec. I gotta go look because man, part of me is feeling it's the Millennium Falcon.
Dude, go look at it. I'm gonna go look. $400, like $400 for that Saturn V rocket. I really hope that's not what Adam paid for it. Oh my god, I hope he didn't pay that much for it. But this is crazy. Lego is just big money. I mean, they figured out the formula, right? They've absolutely figured out the formula. It's like just create something, because if you think about it, it's like, yeah, there are special pieces in all the Lego sets that are specific to that build, but the vast majority of the Legos in the set are still standard bricks. So if you think about it, all they're doing is still using the standard bricks that they produce for everything else. And they're only making like, a couple of dozen of proprietary parts to bring it together and give it that look. Or maybe like special little paint jobs on the characters and stuff. So they only have to they don't have to change the whole thing. They just have to change a little of it. And then they'll do like a run of like 150 and it's super rare. And it's like, holy cow, they can jack the price up on this shit like crazy.
It's the Millennium Falcon. 75.
Oh, it's the Millennium Falcon.
75 192. Yeah.
75 192.
Way better than the Star Destroyer. So it's and the fully built kit is like 3 feet. It's huge. Yeah, like $1,500.
Holy shit! Oh my god. Okay, hold on. That's what they're asking. Let me see what sold is going for.
I see a listing here.
840 was the last sold one, brand new. So $840 is the realistic 25 bids. They won it on January 7th.
I see a guy who sold 32.
$1,000
for $1,300.
Yeah, 2 days ago, one sold for $1,000. Are you looking at sold, or are you looking at
the listing? Says he's got 2 more, and he has sold 32 of them.
Oh, January 5th, one sold for $1,282. That's actually sold, so confirmed sold. So it looks like they range in new inbox. You can get on eBay. You can get them between $900 and about $1,300. But that's really the Millennium Falcon is because it's not as big, right? Or is it pretty? It looks pretty big.
It's like 7,500 pieces. It's big, fully built. It's like 3 feet long. It's like you see pictures of people holding them, and they're like that. So about 2.5, 3 feet.
Is somebody vacuuming at your house?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what I was hearing. I was like,
sorry about that.
Sound like a mosquito was trying to bite me. Dude, we were talking about while you were gone. We were saying like Legos. That's like the perfect business because 90% of the blocks in that build are standard bricks. Like 10% of them are the special bricks. So they create these kits and then they only sell like, 100 or 150 or 500. It says on the box, like usually when you buy the kit, it says the number of total in that run.
So, yeah, for these collector ones like that?
Yeah, because Xander has a couple sets that he bought that's like, it's only 500 or only 1,000. It's like, it doesn't tell you which one it is, like 1 out of 500 or whatever. They don't do that, but it'll tell you how many of them are in existence. And sometimes they'll rerun one, but it'll say that it's like a rerun. Like when they do it, they specifically say it's a rerun so that it doesn't affect the collector's market of the previous one, even if it's the same exact build. So think about that. You have a business model where all you have to do is change a couple of bricks, paint a couple things just a little differently. The bulk of the build is still off the shelf parts that you already have, made in your arsenal. You do some artwork on a box and put it and limit it to like 500, even though most of the bricks in the damn thing could easily be swapped out with other generic bricks, right? So now you have like this very, very rare kit and you're selling it for like $500. I don't know how much was it new from Lego. Does anybody know?
I think this one was. I think this one at retail was 500. Yeah,
500. Okay, that sounds about right. Because I've seen a couple kits go for 500. And I think Sandra even has the Lego Technics like Bugatti Veyron or something.
Oh, like no, I'm sorry. Lego.com has it listed at 800 and they're out of stock.
Really? So this from Lego, this is $800. So these ones that we see selling on eBay are just basically they're just selling for retail.
Yeah.
Well, except for the one that's like $1,200, but I'm sure that was like a scarcity thing where that guy was lucky and had his auction where it was like the only one at that time and somebody really needed one bad for a gift or something. But dude, it's only going to go up. Lego stuff does not go down. If it's Lego and Star Wars, it's like that's two whammies, right?
That's where my head is at, right? Let's see, AT-AT the 75313 going for $350 retail. Oh no, that's a Bugatti Chiron.
Yeah, I think Sander has the Lego. What is it? Lego Technics Bugatti. That's the one with like moving parts and stuff. Yeah, it's massive. We haven't put it together yet. Lego.
That's cool.
Bugatti. Yeah, I think it's this. Yeah, I think it's that one.
Wow.
There's no way. Those are $500. What?
Yeah, isn't that nuts? I like it, but I'm in a mode now where I'm like, man, I'm trying to keep an eye out for things that
appreciate
like that. Yeah, like this one's kind of silly, but I'm kind of hoping that it blows up a little bit.
Don't say NFT or I'll drive over there and punch you in your face.
No. I backed Critical Role has a animated series coming out later this month. Actually, I think it's coming out like on the 28th. Big actual play D&D show. It's massively popular. Crazy.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Critical Role. I think
Love
even
Critical
Role. What was the guy from Star Wars was on there a whole bunch too. Wesley, the guy who played Wesley Crusher.
Will Wheaton. Yeah. He's done a few with them.
Yeah, and is the redheaded gal? What's her? She runs it.
Marisha
right?
Ray. She's like the creative director or something. But yeah, they have their own company now. They've got a whole big thing. It's super cool. I backed the Kickstarter for the cartoon that they wanted to produce before Amazon bought it and set them up for 2 seasons. And as part of that, I have like a sketch. It's not an animation cell. It's like a kind of a storyboard sketch almost, and it's numbered and stuff. And like I only took it out of the bubble mailer, looked at it. I think I took a picture of it and put it back and it's like a nice custom bubble mailer thing. I carefully peeled off with the shipping label on it, and that's tucked up. That's tucked up on my bookshelf too, just sitting there.
How much was that Kickstarter?
Oh, dude, I threw $50 or $60 at it, but it is the top grossing show Kickstarter. They've made like $7 million or something, $11 million. It's insane.
How many units of that thing you have did they send out? Do you know? Like how many Kickstarters got that?
I want to say the one that I have is like 1 of 1,000 or something.
Okay, that's pretty damn rare. That for something that big.
I'm sure they put out different like cells or whatever. Like there's probably a handful of them.
So Critical Role Kickstarter. I'm trying to see if anybody on eBay is trying to sell these things. So there's a Critical Role Kickstarter exclusive miniature set. Is that what you have?
No, it's a sketch. It's like a animation, not a cell. It's not
like
painted.
A cell, or
it's not painted like that. It's not colorized. I don't think it's just like a storyboard sketch almost.
Oh, okay. So that's like something that, and is it a copy of the story? Oh, here it is. Here it is. The Vox Machina 8x10 art print.
That might be it.
It looks like one sold last month for.
I mean, I could show you guys.
$60. Yeah, I want to see it. Let's show that to us, man. I want to see, because I mean, there's one that sold for $60 on November 28th. So that's the only one I've seen. Oh no, here's another one sold for $60.
So here's the thing that it came mailed in.
Yep, that looks just like what I'm looking at.
Right, like I said, I took the shipping label off of it.
And gingerly.
Yeah.
So
and then I did open the plastic, right, because I wanted to look at it.
I want to see if this is it.
Oh, here it is. Fold this over.
Be gentle. Use your hair gloves.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Jake Hudson, thank you for the $2, man. He said you must have either the 2002 or 2019 Star Destroyer.
That's the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
That was a while back.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It's got some stickers.
All right, let's see this, dude.
There's stickers in there. Oh, sorry for the glare. There you go.
Okay. All right.
Stickers. And then it's got the little folio.
Dude, there's people just selling the stickers on eBay.
For like $25 or something.
Yeah. So they like divvied them up. They're not selling it as a set. Yeah. See, the Vox Machine at Kickstarter sticker set's $15.
I think if you only threw a certain amount, you only got the stickers.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, careful.
Dude, everyone that's listed has sold. If it's the same one as what I'm looking at here.
And so, ooh, shiny.
Yep, so far that's what this looks like that I'm looking at here. And it's like a group of people standing in a pose.
Yeah.
That's it. So that right now, if you sold it on eBay right now, you'd get over $60 for it right now. So you're already over what you paid for it. So
yeah. And so I think it said,
not including stickers, you could sell it for another 15.
Episode 101, scene 6230D, artist SJ, version VO2, notes more jazz hands.
So this is for a cartoon they were going to produce that just never got made before Amazon bought them?
It's coming out at the end of the month. They were going to do it on their own. They were going to do it on their own, but Amazon was like, "Hey, we'll throw a bunch more money at you if you guys do 2 seasons for us exclusively." Yeah, so it'll be on Prime Video. I think it comes out on the 28th.
Are those the only 2 things you get? Did you also get like a box of playing cards and like a bag full of dice?
That was
or
like
whatever?
the 100. That was like the playing cards was like $100. I think the custom dice was pretty high level too.
Yeah, because if you had the whole kit, the last one sold for $300 with them all together.
I believe it.
But what's funny is I'm like looking at the other auctions. It looks like you can buy the dice, buy the cards like loose. You could buy these things like loose for like, $20 to $50, and then you can put them all together. As long as they're not like serial numbered to each other, just put them all together as a kit and sell them for like $300, and so you buy them.
It doesn't look like this. It didn't look like this was labeled as like one of or anything. Now that
I'm not seeing anything in the auction that links them.
So like, yeah, you could piece together like the top tier, backing.
Yeah, there are people that do that, though. I've noticed that there are people that go to like garage sales and stuff like that and buy Legos, and they just buy loose Legos. And then if they find like the little weird rare pieces and stuff like that, they'll like put them together with the other pieces they find until they get like all the pieces to make a kit for a rare item. And then they sell it because there's no numbers on the blocks. So as long as it's like all the right pieces for the kit and you assemble it, you could sell it as if you bought it and it came in the box that way. You just like, I lost the box. It's like, and they'll pass that on too. Like, as far as they're concerned, that's provenance, right? Nobody's ever going to be able to prove that didn't come out of the box together. Like, unless they carbon date like down to the month each freaking, and even then that wouldn't work because these kits are put together from loose pieces that were made months previous, right?
Right.
So it's like there is a market for that. And I've also seen loose Lego pieces go for crazy money too. I watched this guy, I think it's called his like Froggy's Deals or Froggy's Flips. Oh, it's Froggy's Flips on YouTube. It's this guy just goes to garage sales and he just buys up toys. He just buys up toys and stuff and resells them and flips them, makes a ton of money doing it. And he does a lot of good for the community too. A really good channel. Highly recommend you go watch it. Really good guy. But he'll go and just buy boxes. Like kids will just have boxes of like all their Legos they had when they were a kid. And he'll just go make a deal and just like, give the people like $20 or whatever and buy a box that has like 5 gallons of Legos in it. And then he goes through all the Legos, picks out all the pieces that are like, because he knows he's done this long enough that he knows what pieces, what kits they go to and stuff. So he pulls them out and he sorts through them. And then he goes and grabs like his bags off the shelves from like previous places that he's gone to. And he like adds the pieces to the kits like as he finds them. And then once he gets a kit that's completed or whatever, then he'll go list it. And then if it's not worth a lot, what he'll do is he'll piece it out. He'll sell the individual proprietary bricks that are only for that kit, but he'll sell them as loose as to complete other people's kits that lost a piece.
Cool.
But if he has a full one that he can put together and it's worth a ton of money, he goes for it, dude. Hey, what's up, Miss Liz?
Hello.
It's good to see you. I was wondering when you were going to pop up.
Yeah.
Albert Kelly. Sorry, I missed this earlier. He gave us $5 super chat. Thank you for those super chats, man. They keep us going.
And everybody who's subscribed too. I noticed a lot of people were like joining or something.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I noticed
that
a few people. Yeah.
So, and if you guys super chat too, we do read all the messages. Sometimes it takes us a little while to get to them, so be patient. But if you put a message in a super chat, it will get read and it will get answered if it's a question. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Adalbert Kelly, thank you for that $5. He said money for vaccination advocation. Dude, we just do that for free. We just do that for free around here. It's like, go get yourself vaccinated, protect yourself, protect your family, protect your friends, protect your wife, protect your girlfriend.
It's national for everybody out here.
Yeah, just go get the poke, man. Just get the poke. Speaking of pokes, Xander got his second poke just the other day. Oh. So my little man's is finally all vaccinated up, so he may actually get to go back to school. I mean, it's probably still going to be a couple of months, but he's really, really excited for the prospect of potentially going back to school. But we still have to wait and make sure that the school requires, I think his school right now does require full vaccination, but since his school has kids under the age of 11, of course, they can't require vaccination for them. So it's like, we're just waiting until the vaccination gets down to, so that he ages out in that school. And then once the school's all vaccinated, then he can go back to school. We don't have to do the homeschooling thing anymore. But that'll kind of be a sad day though, because we've really enjoyed homeschooling the little bugger. And my God, Miss Barnacules is a baller teacher, dude. Like the stuff that she's learned to teach him, she's just like nose down to the grindstone. It's like, it's almost intimidating because she knows everything more than me now. I used to be the person she'd come to and ask questions. No, now I'm the one that has to go and ask her, because it's like she just teaching all this stuff to him constantly. It's always fresh in her mind, you know? So no, she's done an amazing job. He's excelled so much. That's the other interesting thing, where he struggled with some things in school. Now that he's being homeschooled, he's actually like surpassing a lot of the other students, even though he's on the spectrum, just because he gets so much one-on-one attention and he loves school. So he's not always trying to get out of school all day long. Like, he loves doing it. So it's just amazing. It's absolutely freaking amazing, dude. And I love it. Roger Dodger there. Roger R. Thank you for the 5 euros. Euros.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff.
He said, just treated wife and me on sushi and champagne for my birthday. Oh, damn, son.
Nice.
Might as well treat you to a bit too. Thank you. We appreciate that. Sushi and champagne. That's a combo I don't think I've ever had in my life.
Sushi and champagne. It makes sense.
Oh, I love these people that try so hard in chat to like have their crap seen, and then it just gets filtered out, and then they just get banned. It makes me happy. It makes me happy, Ox. It's like, you know what? It does. It makes me happy because it's like I'm sitting up here on my little cloud, like little baby Jesus, with my little button that I can push and just, smite the smite button. It's fun. Yeah. It's actually very therapeutic. I talked to my therapist about it, and she said, make it an occasion. Make it an occasion to ban stupid people. It's fun because it's like they have to go create a whole new account and come back and try to type again, and then only to get banned, and it takes them 10 minutes. It takes you 1 second. And it's just like, just living rent free. It's wonderful. And Jake, thank you again. Thank you again for that super chat, man. Topics wise. Oh wait, I saw something from Miss B. She said, I still don't get math and come to you for help. And I help in science. I am pretty good at the science stuff. I'll give you that. Math. It's funny because Miss Barnacules always comes to me with like the same math question. It's always like something about percentages. And the only reason that I'm really good with percentages is back when I used to program at Microsoft, I did a lot of stuff with databases and charting. Mm-hmm. And when you do databases and charting, everything is percentages. Like everything that I do is percentages every day. So it's like, so the crudest way to do percentages, to avoid the divide by zero error, the dreaded divided by zero error, is you just multiply the smaller number by 100 divided by the larger number, which is the max. So if you're trying to figure out the percentage of something, like if the percentage is, there can be a max of 500 and you have 20 of them, you just do 20 times 100 divided by 500, and that'll give you your percentage. And so I've used that formula so much throughout my entire career at Microsoft as a developer that it's just basically burned into my skull now how to do these percentages. There's a ton of different ways you can do percentages, but that's like the most direct way that we used whenever we were programming stuff. It's what we used in Excel when we were doing charting, and we were doing formulas, because it was just like super duper simple. Now you don't even need it anymore though. Now you can just go in and there's like a function in C#, there's a function in JavaScript, there's a function to just give you a percentage. You basically just give it the max and then the iterative, and it'll derive it and give it to you. And it's like, so you don't really even need to know that equation anymore. And that's that's something I'd like to say to any aspiring software developers out there that, one day want to become programmers and stuff. You don't have to be good at math to be a really good software developer.
Oh, no.
You don't. No. There's like this common misconception I still see today from people. It's like, oh, I'm not very good at math. I have dyslexia. I don't think that I'd be good at software development. It's like, no. Don't count yourself out. Like, one of the best reasons to get into software development is because you got this beautiful thing called a computer that does all the heavy lifting for you. And when you're programming, as long as you're in a high order language, you're going to have libraries that do just about everything that you want automatically, and not only automatically, but highly optimized by way more intelligent people than we are. and then you can focus on the being creative. So you have, it's rare to find a developer that does everything good. It's rare to find a developer that's like full stack, does kernel and all that stuff, and also is just a brilliant architect of applications and games and stuff like that. People have their niches they're good at. So
I learned that in early on with computer science. Was like, I don't need to know what this formula does or even understand it.
Right,
I just need to make sure the number that the user gives me goes into the right place, and that the answer that comes out is right.
Absolutely. Trey said being good at math correlates with programming, though, right? Not necessarily. It depends on what type of development you want to do. If you're an application developer, no, absolutely not. If you're writing bookkeeping applications, then yeah, probably it could be beneficial to understand some math. But the thing is, there's functions for doing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So as long as you know what you want to do, like you don't you don't need to know the formula of how to come to the answer. You just need to know what the process is. Like, what is the name of what you're trying to do? Yeah. Which you can just go and freaking Google and figure out in like 10 seconds. Like most developers do. Even really good developers rely on search engines heavily nowadays.
Yeah, a lot of it. There's no way to know them all and to know everything. And especially when it comes to software development, there is such a tiny possibility that you are the first person to have ever encountered the issue that you're having or trying to solve the problem that you're trying to, someone out there has done it before, and someone out there be able to help you.
Yeah, a great example here. Patrick Carrillo. He said, graphics programming is where all the math is at. Surprisingly, no. So let me explain. No, to a degree, it depends. Are you an engine developer? Then yes, it's going to be very math heavy, figuring out, sines, cosines, and tangents to generate polygons and visualize 3D space in a 2D world. That's math heavy. But even then, you have the functions to do that stuff, even at the very lowest of levels now in graphics, the low level graphics libraries. However, if you wanted to make a 3D adventure game right now, you don't have to know any math at all. You don't have to know any math. You can fire up Unreal 5. You can drag and drop 90% of the world, position the camera, position the person, and all your math is going to be getting the inputs from your controller to like your little dude on the screen or your little thing on the screen and moving it. And everything's in relative terms. So if you can even pick the precision and metrics. So like in Unreal, if you want, you can use inches, you can use miles, you can use feet, you can use centimeters, you can use millimeters. So once you set that, then you can literally just go in there and just tell stuff the distance that you want it to move and what direction you want to move. And you can even have the world apply the physics. So not only does your item move, it has to accelerate and decelerate given the physics of the environment and the gravity and wind shear, and all those things can be computed by the engine. And you just flip these things on and off and give them arbitrary values or sliders until it does what you want. And you can make some pretty epic, convincing, amazing things without having to know hardly any math at all. Hell, even percentages. Last time I was playing around, not with Unity, I was playing around with it was Unity, not Unreal. So I was using Unity, and I was able to make a game in 1 hour that was like 45-degree angle down 3D, like pole position. Yeah. Like driving around a track and stuff, and you could actually hit the tires and the tires would burst apart and fly across the thing. And it was all made up of like all I did was find black and white images of sprites and then extrude them that I just found on Google Images to make the 3D models. I didn't have to do any 3D modeling or anything. I was able to do that. It took me about a little over an hour to do it with like full physics, and it even had a scoring system. You could drive around and drive over the line, and it would count how many laps you did. If you drove backwards, it would say wrong way. I mean, all that stuff was like really, really easy to implement. You just start and you just keep adding and adding and adding. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, I want a track. Okay, let me go find a picture of a track, a top-down track, and then you convert that to black and white in Photoshop, drag it in, and then use that mask to create boundaries. And then anywhere there's a line is going to be a boundary that your car can't cross, and that becomes the wall. And then you tell it how tall you want that wall to be, and it'll extrude the 2D image up, and then you have your wall. And then you can tell, what do you want your wall made out of? Do you want it to be brick? Do you want it to be metal? Like, how much rebound and energy do you want it to feed back into the object when it hits it or deflects it? And you can just tinker with all these values and end up creating this thing that looked like, 10 years ago, it'd take 100 devs a year to do what you just like cranked out, and it's fully 3D accelerated and using your GPU to the max and tensor cores and all that shit. So don't get confused and think that you need to know a lot of math to be able to do these things. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not easy to implement some stuff. Like if you want to do some really complicated things that aren't handled by the engine, then yeah, you're going to have to understand some math or some physics, but you can still use the tools that are built into the engine to approximate anything that you want.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't know how to do it, you can wing it. And as a matter of fact, you'd be surprised how many things are just winged in games back in the past. Like, when you're playing like Wolfenstein 3D and stuff, you're not actually playing a 3D game. It's not a 3D rendered world. It's like tilt shifted sprites to give the illusion of being in a 3D world. It's still a completely flat plane. It's not computed with, tons of sines and cosines and tangents. Right. Because it'd be too slow on the old hardware. They had to find clever ways to trick the mind and trick the eye. And so nowadays we have enough power in the computer that you can just straight up run the physics. Like the optimization still needs to be there, but you can do a lot. Like you've seen some of these Unreal demos where it's like they have like 1 million spheres drop on like a landscape, a fractal landscape, and all the balls are bouncing around and everything all in real time on your computer. When like back in the day to render one frame of that, and like, was it KCP Bryce or whatever back in the day? Like when I was a kid, that shit would have taken like 2 days to render 640, 480 frame of that animation doing the same thing.
Yeah,
it's badass. So don't put a glass ceiling over yourself. Don't tell yourself that development is outside of your reach because you weren't a good student or you got bad grades or anything like that. What really counts in the game is the creativity, especially when you're creating games. It's like creativity is everything. You will find a way to do the thing you want to do. It might take a little while. You might have to watch some tutorials online. There are a lot of options, so it's not always intuitive to like get something to work exactly the way you want, but all the information's there. And if you're really passionate about it, you will get there. Like you will. Don't tell yourself you won't. Like assume going in that it's going to be a successful venture. And if you get stuck on stuff, oh my God, there's so many places on the internet where you can go put a question in a forum on Reddit or something, and somebody will just you'll get smart ass replies too. But there's always somebody in there that's going to drop exactly what you need.
Yes.
Yeah. I've never had a question go unanswered.
That's what I mean. You are not going to be the first person to have encountered the issue that you're having. Yeah. And dude, it'll be there. You'll find an answer, or if not specific to your very particular thing that you're trying to do, you'll at least find something that will get you 80% of the way, and you can fill in the rest. Like, yeah.
Plus, graphics designers are so much more involved in games nowadays. Like,
for sure.
So I have a buddy who's not a developer at all. Like he couldn't write a line of C language to save your life, right? He is not a developer. He's a graphics artist and a 3D modeler. He makes 3D models for video games and does like the inverse schematics and stuff and puts, bone structures in them and stuff. He does that, and he works for Bungie. And cool. I watched him, like, this is a while ago. I haven't seen the dude in like, 2 years because of COVID. But last time I went to his house and he was showing me the project that he was working on at work, he was not just making the graphics anymore, which is what he used to do. He actually had the Unreal Engine for the game, like the code base for the game was sunk up, and he could actually drag his models in and import them into the game, render them into the game, and actually move them and put them through tests and hit them with objects and try to run them through things and make sure they're tall enough to clear doorways and stuff like that. He could go through and like tune it live in the game, like in his dev environment. So, and if stuff didn't work, he could actually tweak it in real time, like in, I think he was using like Rhino 3D or something like that, but he was tweaking it in real time, saving the file. It was importing it into Unreal at the stage of the game that it was in without even having to restart it, and then changing the characters like dynamics. And then he was like tweaking the settings in the engine to like change the physics for that, for the materials. I was just sitting here and I'm like, dude hasn't written a single line of code. And he took this like giant creature and had it like perfectly like walking in the game and like doing this and go through door, and then it would get hung up on the door because the animation. So he'd rein the animation in just a little bit with like a slider in Unreal or changing the number a little bit. And then the arm would like pop in, and then he'd back up and go through the doorway, and then it would work. It was just like complete trial and error testing.
Yeah.
And this is the graphics artist. He's not having, like, back in the day, you'd have to go to the developer and be like, oh yeah, okay, I have to make this model, and here's all the dimensions for the model, program that in. If you change anything in the model, they have to go through and change, core stuff in the game to be able to handle the new dimensions or whatever. It doesn't have to happen anymore. It's all object oriented. It's like you do something and it just ripples through the entire thing. And as long as you follow the rules and stay within the constraints, it works. And if it doesn't, it crashes and tells you why.
Yep.
It's like, dude, coding is like, so don't be intimidated by software development. Man. It just keeps getting easier and easier and easier at the higher levels.
And it's free.
Yeah.
Free. Unity, Unreal. Dude, there's dude.
I can't believe how many developers Codegasm made, dude. Like I still to this day get people joining Patreon, and like cool. I said, dude, send me $20, $50, $100. A couple guys sent me $500. They were like, man, I watched your Codegasm videos, ended up changing my major in school. Now I work at Amazon. Now I work at Apple. Now I work at Microsoft. Dude, it's the greatest feeling ever. I'm like, dude, this one video I made that's like, you know, I don't talk about programming as much as like the videos from the layman's perspective. And I don't, oh, this is a polymorphic class with the multiple inheritance. I don't do any of that shit. I just go through and I'm like, look what I'm doing and look what the result is. Look what I'm doing, look what the result. And then I give them the code at the end so that they can go and copy it down from GitHub and do their thing. And the amount of branches that have happened from those projects and the amount of people that have messaged me that said, oh my God, it just sucked them in and they kept going further and taking it further and further and further.
Aww.
It blows my mind. That was never meant to do that. It was just me, you know, farting around and building something because I was like, in my head, I'm like, let's make something simple, but it's fun. Like, let's not teach people how to do Hello World. That's boring. Let's go do something that's actually fun, like something that's a prank or make the computer talk or do stuff that somebody might think would be hard to develop and prove to them it's not. And then do it in a way line by line, like nothing's cut. Like the videos are just me going through and showing you exactly what I'm doing. Even the mistakes. I even make mistakes, show what the mistakes do, and then undo the mistakes.
Smart.
And
I like that.
Yeah, and I just could not believe it. It's like the worst thing I ever did was stop that series because people were just eating that shit. But even with only 6 episodes, I would say conservatively, I've been contacted by at least 50 people that now have a career in software development at a company, major or minor, a software development job that were in school for nothing software development. They literally switched their majors or dropped out and went and did something else. That blows my mind. That's like the fact that I was able to change people's lives. Like it wasn't just entertainment. It was something that completely changed what they did for a living. I'm just like, oh my God, that's epic.
Oh, that's man. That makes you feel good. That's cool.
Honestly, nothing makes me feel better than that. I still, every once in a while, like I think the last one I got was about 3 weeks ago. Guy messaged me and said that he was now working at Amazon. I'm sorry, by the way, that place is terrible to work at as a developer. But he said he was working at Amazon and he got a really good deal straight out of school. And he said he credits me for his very first program that he ever wrote, which was downloading my source code for, I think it was the Codegasm episode that I did pulling WMI performance counters. And like, you know, doing like I think it was hard drive LED. And he went through that one and he modified it to work with networking. Cause again, I explained in the program, like all you have to do is change out this one thing. And now it's not pulling hard drive data, it's pulling network data. Or you can change out this one thing. And instead of showing a bar graphic, it's showing this. Like I show how you can just make tiny little changes and change the whole program. And so he took that and ran with it, ended up writing a whole telemetry suite that put like 20 icons in his task tray that was like his network in, network out. And then he started putting like word bubbles and stuff where like if he was getting denial of service attacked, because I say in the video how you could potentially make it a device. He actually wrote the code for it. And so it pops up and tells him when he's getting denial of service attacked on which input that it's coming in on. And he just kept expanding it and expanding it and expanding it. And I was like, that's exactly what I wanted people to do, was just to take this shit and make it their own. Cool. And he said it just kept going and going and going until he eventually just put all of his resources into programming. And he said it was just like it went from hobby to obsession. And he changed his major in school. He got his associate's degree, I think it was 2 years later, and then went straight from there to Amazon working as a software developer. I was like, dude, that is so freaking awesome. That makes me happy. That really makes me happy. I was able to like change some lives, you know, because same thing happened to me. Like if I never met Kevin, the kid that actually was in the Running Start program that pulled me out of chapter 1 to learn how to program the Apple IIe, if he never was involved in my life, I never would have had access to an actual computer. And I never would have been able to, like, I mean, I was so into the computer, the whole type of letter. This is my whole obsession, was just hitting letters and seeing them show up on the screen. Yeah. Like it was like the typewriter obsession. It's like, I loved pushing, but then when he started showing me how to do, you know, line numbers and statements and go-tos and stuff like that, and I started learning that, you know, it's over the course of just 1 year. I went from a kid that never thought I'd ever touch a computer into I was programming better than the teacher in the class, in the lab. And I carried that throughout my entire life. It changed the entire trajectory. Everything I did from that point on always revolved around computers. And it took me where I am today. So cool. It just goes to show, man, it's like one tiny little thing can butterfly effect and change somebody's life for the better or for the worse. Honestly, it can go either direction, but try to be a good influence on others and try not to tell yourself that, oh, this is silly. Like a lot of people came out, dude, I got so many comments on the Codegasm. I was like, dude, you're like a world-class developer at Microsoft and you're writing stupid little hard drive LEDs or stupid little C# apps. Like, let's see the hardcore stuff. I'm like, there's such a small audience for the hardcore stuff though. Like, I'd much rather be the person to build the bridge to bring the new people into it. Like, I want to show people how I learned and how I looked at things and how I was able to understand things when I was like eating glue and in chapter 1 because I couldn't keep up with my regular classes. And so I like that angle of it. But there's a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, this is stupid. This is never going to work. Like nobody's going to watch this trash or whatever. Ended up being one of the most successful things I ever did. on YouTube, even to this day. So don't let people tell you can't do shit, or this stuff's too simple, or it's silly. Seriously, if you learned how to do Hello World and you went and did a YouTube video right now of Hello World, and you had some high energy to it, and you showed somebody exactly how to do it, so after watching your video, they could produce the exact same thing from nothing that you did and actually get the same result. I'm not going to say, I can't guarantee it's going to take off and become viral, but you would get a lot of viewers and you'd get people that would share that. And I guarantee you're going to spark at least a couple of people who look at that and go, wait a second, I just built my first program. I literally wrote code, compiled it, and ran a program I can send to somebody, like an exe. I created that. And just that one little step of doing that and having somebody be able to do something and get that result is all it takes for a lot of people to just completely change their mind about the world and just take off in a direction they never would have gone without you.
Yeah.
So don't hold back. Don't, my favorite analogy that I use over, or not analogy rather, my favorite example that I use over on my Twitch stream is 1,000 times now easily over the last couple of years. I have told people about the shortcut key, Windows key period.
Oh yeah. Okay? I do that all the time.
So Windows, if you hit Windows, I'll do it right now. Hit Windows key period. It brings up an emoji menu.
Yep.
So, and you can insert emojis into any text box inside of Windows. This has been around for a very long time. It's evolved a couple times, but it's been around for a very long time. Now you can search the emojis. You can do what's it? K emoji. You can do symbols. Like there's all this stuff that you can do from this little menu. Every single time I say this, I get at least like a half dozen people in chat that are like, I didn't know this.
Wow.
No way, dude. And then they go and use it, and then they go tell other people. But there's so many people when I post that, they respond, they're like, dude, you've said that like 10 times. Shut up. Like, dude, you're doing it to death. Like, why would you do that? Like, it's common sense. Everybody knows that. No, everybody doesn't know that, and they never will. No matter how many times I say it, not everybody will know that.
Exactly.
So don't make assumptions like that, because if you're making content and stuff and you shoot yourself down, you're like, oh, somebody else already made a video like this, or somebody else already showed this, or I went and did a search for it quickly and it's not as unique as I thought it was. No, but your perspective on it and the people you're able to reach are completely different.
Yeah.
So run with it. Don't let people talk you out of that stuff. Be like, oh, that's stupid, or that's no, it's not. I can say Windows key period 1,000,000 times on every stream for the next 10 years in every video, and you're still going to get a new person who's never seen my content before, who has never been on my social media, or they're on my social media and they just keep missing it because it's one tweet in a million. Right. So you're going to catch that person on that day, and then they're going to discover it. Now that's going to change how they communicate online.
Yep.
So that's just realize you got a lot of power over people that you don't realize. You can go forth, my children, and spread good tidings.
Yeah.
This is what I'm getting tidings. Oh my gosh. Hot Wheelan said, does Barn still keep in touch with Jay? I mean, I talk to him every few months, here and there a little bit. It's usually about just stuff going on in the community and things like that. We don't do anything professionally anymore. The Unity Tech said, what would you be doing today if you never met Kevin? Oh, my mentor who got me into programming at a young age. I can tell you exactly what I'd be doing. Drywall. I'd be the guy literally putting the drywall into your house before the guy comes in, and the guy that tapes and muds. And if you don't know what these terms are, basically the guy that does everything to your wall before it gets painted. So from just boards, the framing, to where your wall is painted, I would do all the stuff in between that. And that was because my dad was a drywaller. And he tried to pass that on to me, and he wanted me to do the family business, which was basically working for this like terrible boss that he had at this terrible company that underpaid their employees and under the table and didn't put anything into benefits and no medical and all that crap. And I didn't want to do that. I did not want to do that. Like I even had to do it for a year. I just had to, because my dad made me whether I wanted to or not, and I couldn't get a job anywhere because I was only 14 or 15. But the second that I was able to do something with computers professionally and make money, I did. Like I seeked that out. Like that was something that I really, really wanted to do. Drywall would have killed me too. It destroys you. It absolutely destroys you.
It's heavy. No. Yeah.
So that's what I would have been. Without a doubt, if computers have never came into my life, the primary focus that my dad was pushing on me and wanted me to do was this drywall and construction stuff. And so I'm really glad that Kevin came along. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, I met this kid on a bus. Like he was on my bus. He moved into the area. He was on my bus route. He got on the bus. I was a very shy kid back then. I'm nothing like I am today. I was a very shy kid, and he actually walked up to me and sat next to me on the bus because it was the only seat left. And, he wasn't there long enough to know who the cool kids were or not. So he came over and sat next to the uncool kid, which was me. And I started, talking to him. He started talking to me, and we just hit it off. We were like friends literally after the first time we met. And that was when later on I was put into chapter 1 and he was in the Running Start project. The teacher was like, you should mentor another student that needs it to get your credits for Running Start. That means that basically you're earning high school credits while you're in grade school. So right. In the first grade, he was already earning high school credits. So by the time he was done with sixth grade, he didn't even go to high school. He just went straight to college.
Dude, that's cool.
So he was a child prodigy, but his parents pushed him too hard. He actually kind of went crazy off the deep end. And now he's like a death metal band guy in the Netherlands or something like that. Or no, Poland. He's a Poland death metal band called XY Beautiful. Like, if you want to see Kevin, the guy that taught me how to program computers, just do a search for XY Beautiful on YouTube, and you'll see the man that's responsible for me programming computers, and you'll never believe it. But yeah, that's him. That's Kevin. And so our friendship that we had, he recommended me for the person that he should mentor, because he's like, I know this guy. Whenever I talk about the computer stuff I do with him, he seems really interested. The teacher okayed it, so I got to go to instead of going to chapter 1, which was basically me sitting with 3 other kids that didn't do anything but just play with Play-Doh and stuff for an hour so the school could sweep us under the rug. He came and got me during that time, so an hour a day, every day, Monday through Friday, I got to go into the computer lab, and it was just me and him for an hour.
Yeah.
And so throughout that program, I learned how to program the Apple IIe, and I was writing, I think my last program that I wrote in that, like at the end of first grade, was about 22,000 lines long. And it was an adventure game where it had a full map, and you could, go north, go east, go west, and had all like the D&D dynamics in it, and dice roll and cool. All your critical stats and everything. Like, I basically made a proper Dungeons and Dragons game. And when my teacher saw that, she was like, what? Like, this kid that basically eats glue that I give F's for, that never does his homework and can't do anything, is somehow just excelling. Like, after 1 year, I was already typing, like, I want to say like 60 plus words per minute by the end of that first year. Yeah. And then he kept doing it. We stayed together and kept doing this program through about the 3rd grade. And then after the it was through 4th grade. And then we got separated because I had to go to a different school, but we were still friends. He still came over and stayed the night. And by that time, my parents had gotten me a computer. Or my grandparents did. So I was able to do stuff, and we'd get on the phone and just program on the phone, just like talking over the phone, like, hey, type this, try doing this, all this stuff. I mean, it was way different back then. But Kevin was the one that got me on that course and kept me on that course for so long, to where I just dedicated my life to it. Where before that, all I wanted to do was just like, ride my dirt bike and, have to go to go with my dad to work to sling mud. Yeah. So it's crazy how much one person can absolutely just change your life and your whole trajectory and everything. Mm-hmm. So when you see an olive branch, grab it, because there's some people out there that, on the surface, it might not look all that important, but no, it was critically important. And the best part was, when I was the 4th grade and I moved to the new school, when I went into the new school, the teacher, sizes up the students and does a test and everything to see where you're at and see how intelligent you are. And of course, I failed the test. And she's like, so there's a parent teacher conference meeting for all the kids. I wasn't in trouble. But I remember, like, back then, my parents, they're like, your kid is actually not at the level that we need him to be, like, at this grade in our school. So they wanted to hold me back a grade. They wanted to push me back a grade. And so they're like, put him into a computer program. They're like, just put him into a computer program. Before you make this judgment, put him into a computer program. So they did. They actually put me into this computer class that some of the kids got to go into on a probationary manner. And I remember my very first computer teacher, he sat me down and I did, was it like Mavis Bacon teaches typing or some shit? It was sure. It was even older than that. It was like a typing test on that. At that time, we weren't using the Apple IIe. I think it was like a Mac Classic or something like that. But I sat down on that thing and I pegged it out at 139 words per minute. Which was 10 words per minute faster than the secretary who held the score at the school previously. So I was the top for the entire time that I was there. I was at that school for 2 years. I was at the top for the entire school for typing speed. And as soon as he saw that, he was like, no, holy crap, we got a little prodigy on your hands. Now, I still got terrible grades in class and everything, but I was able to continue on to the next grade and the next grade and next grade until ultimately I got kicked out for fighting and sent to an alternative school. But the thing is, I got passed because they said my computer skills were so good and I was so good with the computer that it really didn't matter if I sucked at everything else. They're like, obviously, when he applies himself, he's incredibly intelligent. So it's just, but you have to have a good teacher to recognize that.
I wish they would flip it around. And like, I did an alternative high school in Running Start too, for the high school side of it, because I did junior, senior year. And man, that is so much more conducive to like my learning style, at least, or whatever. I feel like instead of putting like the troubled kids into those sorts of things, I should have had the option. Like I approached my school to like, yo, can I just test out of English for like the rest of my 4 years? Like this is dumb. I know I could do it blindfolded. Like I want to just get these credits. I want to graduate early. Like something, please. Like, can I just test out? Oh no, we don't do that kind of thing because like, the teachers haven't developed their final tests like this early in the year and blah blah blah. And they just hemmed and hawed about it and stuff. But like, man, an alternative high school for somebody who, at least in my position, I was like halfway like gifted. Would have been so much better. I could have knocked out a year of high school in 6 months, 8 months, like, or, faster. Like I could have done it in half the time. But no, they don't. They need butts in seats for funding and stuff like that.
Well, the dumbest thing that ever happened in all the schools that I went to was the alternative school that I went to, this choice school in Shelton where I met my wife. Yeah. The dumbest thing that they did is there was a computer teacher there before the guy I met who was actually he excelled me. Like I still got no high school credits and dropped out when I got my GED, but he actually took an interest in me because he was into computers. And as soon as I started doing just computer stuff at the school and doing everything on a computer, I was like excelling. They're like, holy shit, this guy's got legs. Like he's gonna kill. They even bought a computer. They got money from the county to buy a PC because all they had was Apples, and at that point I was doing PC stuff. So they actually got a Packard Bell. One Packard Bell in the lab that was literally just the computer for me because none of the other students were trained on it. It was just for me because that's what I did. And the school had funding for special projects. So absolutely wonderful. But the thing that sucked the worst is before this Paul guy was the teacher of the computer class, there was this woman, I can't even remember her name, probably because I was so pissed off at her all the time, but she ran the typing class because you had to pass typing. It was required in this grade that I was in. You had to be able to type so many words per minute. With a certain amount of accuracy, and then they would pass you. And then once you passed that, you were allowed to continue in the computer class. And so you did typing, and then as the students got better at typing, then they would move into the full class where they'd learn, some programming stuff. It was mostly like doing fractals and shit and like hypercard and stuff I didn't care about. So the first time I took the typing test, I maxed out. I was at the top above the class, above everybody. It was somewhere around 130 some odd words per minute at that time. At one point in my life, I was up in the 150s, but that didn't last very long. It's really hard on your hands. That's fast. But 130 words per minute. And the teacher failed me. She failed me. And I was so pissed when she failed me. You know why she failed me? Because I learned how to type on my own. I didn't learn how to type with the home row. So I use two fingers on this. Still to this day, I use, actually it's not true because I use a split keyboard. Yes.
Yeah.
So 5 fingers on this hand, 2 on this one. Too. So I didn't use the right fingers to hit the right keys. So she flunked me because for the test, she has to sit there and watch you, and she docks you a point every time you don't use the home row method or you hit a key with the wrong finger. And so she failed me when I had 130 plus words per minute and 98% accuracy, and I flunked the class. My mom came in swinging. My mom was pissed. She's like, my kid typed faster than you, typed faster than everybody else, had damn near perfect accuracy, and you're going to fail him because, and her solution to it was, we need to teach you the proper method with the home row, which I could only type like maybe 30 words per minute using her method. So she'd sit there and try to deprogram me and make me type slower just so that I would do it her way.
Yeah.
And so my mom came in and bitched about that, and they finally said, okay, we're gonna do an exemption. The fact that he can type and he does this accuracy, it shouldn't matter how he does it.
Nobody.
It was so stupid. Same thing happened in music class too. Same exact thing happened in music class. I took music class, and I'm just like ripping it because they had that magic piano. Do you guys remember that? The magic piano on the Mac?
I think so.
So it was like a MIDI keyboard, and you did like games and stuff to like play music.
Yeah.
And so I was kicking ass and excelling at that in music class. But then the music teacher comes over and watches me play the piano, and he's like, oh, nope, stop. Oh, nope, stop. Because the way that I played the piano is I didn't have my hands arched up like this with the wrists perfectly. Because I'd already been playing piano for years with my hands flat like this. And it's comfortable. That was the comfortable way for me to do it. He'd always be like, nope, stop. You got to do it like this. But I didn't know where the keys were like this. I knew where the keys were touching like this. So it was dumb. Like, my God, why are you doing this? You're setting these kids backwards. You're trying to get them to conform to shit that doesn't matter. Nobody cares. The person who reads the TPS report doesn't care how their fingers were held when they typed it. The person who listens to the music piece is listening to the notes. They're not listening to and the funny thing is now today we celebrate that, right?
Right.
So now today it's like
Results.
Trace Bundy on a guitar where he's like, playing like Canon D with his fingers up on the neck and sliding around and stuff. And people are like, man, this guy is like super duper talented. Nope. My school would have been like, no, fuck that guy. Terrible at music. Like fail him. Like the kid playing hot cross buns over there is kicking his ass. Like that I didn't like. So I hope that shit still isn't going on in school today, where it's like there's more focus on how they're doing it than what they're actually doing.
Yeah.
Same thing for programming too. I remember getting failed on programming projects because they're like, "Oh, this is fucking spaghetti code.
This isn't how it is." Yeah,
yeah. So
I mean, and there is something to be said when it comes to writing code. There is something to be said about doing, well, in that sense. True. But like, man,
no. But the thing is, optimization can. Well, actually, it depends. If you're doing procedural programming, undoing spaghetti code is really fucking hard. But if you're doing object-oriented programming, it's pretty good. You can go back and do an optimization pass. Right. Yeah. Get it working. Don't waste 10 hours trying to do it absolutely flawlessly properly when you can prove the concept in 5 minutes and then later on go back and do it properly. Right. Because otherwise you're going to spend all the time doing it properly to realize it doesn't work and then have to go re-engineer it and then have to do it properly again and do it properly. Like another thing I don't do is I don't comment my code when I do my first pass. No, I always comment my code. Always comment my code, even when it's just for me. But I don't comment on first pass because I change so much stuff constantly and I'm always re-engineering because remember, I'm not at the stage where I sat down and planned it out on paper. I'm in a stage where I'm trying things and seeing what works best. Yeah. So I don't want to sit there and put tons of comments in when it's fresh in my mind and I'm actively working on it and I know it's going to be deleted. I go back and put the comments in it before I wrap up and check into the depot. Yeah. So, because it's just, for me, it's like until it's solidified and I know the code works exactly the way I want it, I don't want to waste a bunch of time writing comments that are irrelevant when I have to change each time.
Makes sense. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean,
we got some new chats.
I tried to comment because I would forget. Like, I'd be like, wait, what is this doing again?
Like, what did you do? Well, I mean, this was also during the time where I was programming. I was just starting to program C. Where comments were a thing. Because remember, comments weren't really that much of a thing in like Apple Basic and stuff like that.
Sure.
So, the code itself was basically the comments. That's about all you got. I do know some people that would put in line numbers and stuff like that would then just put in strings and just not use them when it was really complicated stuff to do like pseudo commenting, but that still took up memory and that wasn't a good thing when you were on a computer that had hardly anything, right?
Right.
So commenting was almost frowned upon, or what they do is print it out on sheets at the end of the day and add the comments into, handwrite them onto the sheets. Mm-hmm. So we used to do that too when we were doing some debugging. But nowadays it's like, comments don't really cost you much. I love things like C# and stuff where you can actually not just comments, but you can also annotate. So you can actually like put meta text fields related to the functions that can be extracted by other programs. So it's like, it's not just coding that you don't even have to have the source code. You can literally just derive these strings and debug and stuff from the debug binaries. You don't have to go back and look at the code. And so there's all kinds of cool shit that you can do. But I'm with you. Like if you're writing a very huge and complicated piece of code, then it makes sense to like put comments in. But if you're writing a single function that's like under 100 lines and you're just cranking it out and you're going to have to change and tweak things to get it to work the way that you want it to, and to prove it, it's like every time you write a comment, every time you do something, that's another comment you're deleting and having to rewrite each time you rework it. It's right. Like, as long as it's small enough that you can keep it in your memory and it's fresh what you're doing, that's fine. But don't walk away from it without commenting. Like if you walk away from it and come back the next day, it's like you're going to have to go back and reread the whole function to figure out what the hell you were doing. And you may forget why you did something. You're like, oh shit, why am I decrementing this index? Or why am I multiplying by 1.1 instead of 1? Or, because you're doing some weird shit because you realized you had to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, Apple Megan said you'd never know Barney barely slept last night. Yeah, only 3.5 hours.
It helped. Yeah.
This is me on 3.5 hours. But to be fair, I'm also on amphetamines and coffee. So that does help.
It does. Quite
ADHD
a bit.
life. Hey, Bitchy Poo, thank you for the $5. Said, hi, guys. Is it Saturday already? Yes, it is. Just got a 3D printer and I'm trying not to tear my hair out. Elation, despair, understand, and doubt. Well, wait a second. So, Bitchy Poo, what printer did you get, though? Because that drastically changes your experience.
Yeah, right.
So when we finally get AuxxZillary to use that printer that I gave him, the Ultimaker 2, he's going to realize very quickly that 3D printing is way easier than he thought, because that printer is a cakewalk to use.
Okay.
I don't think wait, did the 2 have auto leveling? It might not have auto leveling, but the thing that's great about that printer is you can literally just turn the screws on the bottom while it's printing. So like when the print head comes down and you level it, like if it ever seems like it's not laying down a thick enough line or it's not sticking well, you just turn the screw a couple little turns under the platform on whatever corner it's not doing, and you can dial it in literally while it's putting down the first layer. And I've always loved that about Ultimakers, because sometimes auto leveling doesn't get it that right. So I like just being able to, as it's doing the test lines to like prime the head, you can just get under there and just turn the screws to get it like lay down flawlessly. And then when it starts to print, it's perfect. I'll gladly walk you through it. When you're ready to do it, man, I'll jump on cam or whatever, and I will walk you through an entire 3D print on that thing. And once you do one print, you will be absolutely hooked, and you will be looking for everything you possibly can to print off of the damn Thingiverse website.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Unity said, did you stay up playing Mario with Xander? No, he actually had to go to bed at midnight. It's on the weekends we let him stay up later, but I try not to play like his games while he's sleeping, because if he wakes up and he hears the sound of like, Mario Kart or whatever like that, then he gets sad because he wants to play it with me. So I only play my games. Like I only play games that are, I don't even play Forza usually when he's sleeping. So I try not to do that anyway. So I've done it a couple times, but I usually put in earplugs or something so he doesn't hear it. And if he wakes up in the middle of the night and I see him running down the hallway, I quickly switch over to something else because he's got really good ears on him. Actually, here, I'll tell you something really funny. You guys will probably get a kick out of this. So my son, he's 11 years old, right? He has the most amazing hearing I've ever heard on anybody. I don't know if this is like an autism disorder thing or something where he can just pick out certain sounds no matter how quiet they are in any environment. But he can literally be in the living room watching YouTube so loud that in my bedroom, I can hear what he's watching in the living room. That's how loud he has it turned up. Mm-hmm. And I can go and open a daily dose of internet. So, hey guys, welcome to today's daily dose of internet. Or it's like, what is it? How does it go? It's like, welcome to today's daily dose of internet. And it's like the same intro, right? With the same guy, same voice and everything. I can turn that down to where I just hear it comfortably in the bedroom. And I can play that intro and hit pause. And you hear his show stop. And then you hear him like barreling down the hallway. And then he runs into the room and he plops down on the bed and just stares at the screen. And then if you don't hit play right when he does that, he'll start doing this. He'll put up his hand and start doing this. Like, click the remote. What are you doing? Let's go. Aww. And so yesterday, this is where it gets funny, is yesterday I'm flipping through YouTube and the damn app on the Samsung TV does this preview play. It didn't do this before. Now, after it updated the app, like if you hover over a video for like longer than a couple of seconds when it's selected, it'll start playing the video in the thumbnail. Oh, cool. And so it's like a preview thing, right? Yeah. And so I'm flipping through and it starts the daily dose of internet preview as I'm flipping through the videos. And Xander's doing school. He's doing school at mom, and I'm not supposed to interrupt him when they're doing school, right? So he's doing school and I hear mama go, "What are you doing?" He literally just jumps up out of school and just barrels down the hallway and runs to the room and he's like, "Daily dose of internet." And he's like, "Go, go, go." And I was like, "Dude, you're doing school right now. Get back out there." And I hear his mom out there like yelling like, "What's going on?" Or actually, no, she said he could come in. Never mind. She did say he could come in because he was already like on his way, and she couldn't even hear it. She didn't know I was playing Daily Dose of Internet. He just picked it up like a dog hearing a whistle a mile away and ran in. So that's like the thing. He can literally be in the other room, like sleeping. And if I turn it on, it's like, hello guys. Today is Daily Dose of Internet. He just comes barreling into the room. It's hilarious, man. I don't know. Do you guys have any kids that do that where there's like a certain sound that just triggers them to come? Like, I mean, literally, I should just put that as like a sound on my phone. And if we're in public and he like runs away or he's in danger, I need to recall him and I can't find him, just hold the phone up at like full volume and be like, "Welcome to today's Daily Dose of Internet." And I see him like barreling 3 blocks away. He jumps out of the free candy van or whatever, punches the guy in the throat and runs home. Like, I could just, there is a good use for this. There definitely is a good use for this. But yeah, I thought that was a funny story. I don't know. That's the Adderall doing that. Hey, Bitchy Poo, thank you for the $5 tip. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did he say? What printer he had in chat? I didn't see. Bitchy Poo. Let me scroll up and see if he did.
Let's scroll in.
Because it sounds like he's struggling with it. And honestly, modern, like old 3D printers, yes, total absolute nightmare to get them tuned. But modern 3D printers, nah, they're a cakewalk, dude. If you can print something out of a a Canon laser printer or whatever, an inkjet, shit, they're easier than an inkjet. They clog less than an inkjet. Ha. Let's see. No, I don't see it. Sorry, if you typed it in chat. Yeah, I missed it.
Not that I see.
I don't see it either. Well, hopefully you get it tuned and you get it figured out. The thing is, like, if you have a bad 3D printer, oh my God, we're going to read that one here in a second. Holy crap.
What?
Oh, crap. Damn. Oh, wow. Somebody's drunk and gives 50 pounds. Oh, dude, I hope he doesn't like sober up and regret that. Right? He said, "Yo, dudes, I'm drunk or merry. I don't know. Love your chats."
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Darka. That's hella nice of you.
Porque es dos.
Yeah. That's dude. That's friggin' that's oh my God, that's like the biggest super chat
Thank
of the
you very
day,
much.
dude. You are awesome. Thank you for making the show, man.
Thanks, man.
Super appreciate it. And I just completely lost my damn train of thought. What the hell was I just talking about? That like blew me away seeing that pop up. I was like, holy cow.
3D printers.
3D printers. There we go.
Yeah.
So if you have a shitty 3D printer, like say a Robo 3D, because they're the shittiest of the shitty, like MakerBot's even above them. So if you have a shitty 3D printer, it's that's funny. Somebody in chat actually said he probably got a Robo 3D. That's funny. Like everybody knows Robo 3D shit. I like set one on fire with the fucking flamethrower. That's on YouTube, by the way. I was gonna say, if you get a shitty 3D printer, 3D printing will make you mad really quickly. Like if every time you're printing, the nozzle's clogging, it's not extruding, it's skipping layers, your print fails after 2 layers or 3 layers every single time. And it's, or you have layer shifts and stuff like that. There's so many things that can happen where it's like, you just go nuts and you just keep printing, wasting material. And then like 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 5 prints kind of comes out okay. And you're like, goddamn, 3D printing is stupid. Like, why would anybody do this? That's because you have a bad 3D printer or a 3D printer that was put together wrong or is not tuned properly. If you have a good 3D printer, and you are using a quality slicer program with the right settings in it for your 3D printer, for the given filament that you're using, it should be as easy as just pulling in the model, slicing it, and sending it to the damn printer, and coming back a couple hours later and having a perfect representation of the item that is dimensionally accurate and everything. So if you bought like a super duper cheap printer, like one of these like $200 or $300 jobber deals or whatever that you have to assemble, and you're not a professional at assembling these things and know how to like tune them and upgrade them and everything, you're gonna have a bad time. Yeah. If you go spend a little bit more money and you get a printer that has really good assembly instructions and shows you how to like properly tension everything and exactly what settings to put into the slicer and the version of slicer you should be using, and you got the profile for it and everything, not just for the printer, but also for the material that you're using, then you're going to have an absolutely remarkable time, and you'll be able to print, pull it off, hit print again, pull it off, hit print, pull it off again. It will not fail unless you get a tangle in your filament, which again, if you have a good printer and you have good filament, it's not going to happen if it's set up properly. But as long as you don't get like a tangle in your filament or the power goes out, you're going to have a high degree of confidence. Like my 3D printers, all of my 3D printers that I own today, I have a degree of confidence that I will literally just let them run through the night. I'll leave the room, close the door, go to bed, and I have no problem with them printing through the night. I had printers before, like the Robo 3D, where the damn thing would clog, put a giant gob of plastic around the hot end, and then try to set it on fire and burn my house down. And it had a non-UL certified power supply that would overheat all the time and smell like burnt wires coming out of the back of it. So if you have a printer like that, then you need to make sure it's only running when you're in proximity of it and you have a fire extinguisher handy. So just know that. Don't get what I guess what I'm trying to get at the long way around is, just because you have a shitty 3D printer or your first experience with a 3D printer is a shitty like knockoff Prusa clone that's an absolute bucket of shit or whatever, if that's your first experience with 3D printing, it's probably going to be your last experience with 3D printing. So make sure that you do your research and you get a good printer and that it's in good working order and it passes all of its diagnostics. And the best part is make sure you use a material that isn't waterlogged, good quality material that's dimensionally accurate. If you just do that, because also you could have the greatest 3D printer on earth, and if you buy shitty cheap filament that isn't dimensionally accurate, you're going to clog your nozzle, you're going to have extrusion problems.
Man, check out Joel's stuff. That dude's got Joel, the 3D printing nerd, Joel.
He's the guy.
I can't recall his last name, but it's the 3D printing nerd. Probably one of the top guys in the space. Easily. So, and I guarantee he's had hands-on with whatever thing it is you're dealing with. Like the dude's probably got 800 freaking printers, or has had at least at some point. Everyone that's ever been made, I'm sure he's had hands-on.
Yeah, I just went to a studio a couple of weeks ago to pick up a bunch of filament from him because I have printers that'll run the old filament. His new ones don't. So he gave me like all of his old filament he couldn't use. And when I was over there, he probably has 20 or 30 printers set up in one space. And then back at his house, he has another like 30 or 40 printers set up. He has so many printers. He's literally starting to mount them on like the walls and ceiling and stuff. It's insane. His whole house is just a giant 3D printer factory. So Joel knows, like, if there's a printer out there that's a piece of crap, he knows about it. If there's a printer out there that's like phenomenal for the price or whatever, he knows about it. So hit up 3D printing nerd on Twitter. He responds to literally like almost every tweet he gets. So if you tweet him over there and just say, hey, Barnacules sent me or whatever, like here's my price, here's the money I have, what 3D printer should I get, and what filament would you recommend? He'd be happy to tell you. Like, he's in the know on all that stuff. But the thing that you have to realize is in 3D printing, there are variables, okay? And a lot of these variables are controlled by your environment. So if you're in a super humid environment, you're going to want to invest in a filament dryer. so that you can dry your filament 24 hours before you throw it in the printer and start printing on it. Because humidity, depending on the type of filament, there's certain stuff like nylon and PLA absorb a lot of moisture, which will change the dimensions and make it sputter and cause layer layer destruction, bad quality. It can cause all kinds of issues. So you want to make sure you have dry filament. You want to make sure you have dimensionally accurate filament. You want to make sure you have filament that doesn't have a bunch of garbage and dust and crap inside of it, like some of the cheap Chinese filaments do, that's going to clog your nozzle and stop your print. And you're just going to pull your hair out wondering like what the hell happened. Like there's just so many little things like that. But if you start with a good printer and fresh filament, like you pull your filament out of your bag, and then when you're done with your filament, you unload it and you put it back in a sealed bag with some desiccant. As long as you're doing that, you're going to just have good, repeatable results all the time. 3D printing is not rocket science, but a lot of people get a 3D printer and it's a shitty quality, like Chinese one with a non-UL certified power supply that fluctuates its hot end temperature by like 10 degrees. The feeder on it's a piece of shit and slips. Oh yeah, dude, I've had a printer that Robo 3D that I had slipped like crazy. It would feed filament and the stupid knurled nuts or whatever weren't sharpened enough, so it would just slip on the filament. So it'd feed out and then it'd stop, and then feed out and then stop. So all my layers were like half extruded, and it took me forever to like just say, you know what, I just need to reprint the whole like mechanism, the wheel on the feeder and everything, so it stopped slipping. And once I did all that, then it started printing reasonably well. I basically had to rebuild the whole printer to get it to work. I made a whole video series on how to take your Robo 3D, your original Robo 3D R1, and turn it into a competent 3D printer.
Nice.
However, no matter what I did to it, you could never print anything really tall. It was only good for printing things that were about 500 layers. Any higher than that, and it would shift and be dimensionally inaccurate and everything like that. But I was able to get it to work. Out of the box, no. Out of the box, that thing was the biggest bucket of shit ever. And it was just problem after problem. Shit, not even the electronics would work without overheating. If you printed something any longer than 7 hours.
What?
7 hours, which is nothing in 3D printing. You can 3D print shit that takes a week. So 7 hours every single time within like a 15-minute gap. The whole printer would just stop and freeze, and the menu would stop responding, and I have to unplug the printer and cool it down and plug it back in, and it would work again, but only for 7 hours. So I had to make sure all my prints were under 7 hours. And this is in a controlled environment that's fixed at 68 degrees with an air conditioner. So I finally flip it over one day, and the problem is the electronics package is under the printer. The whole bottom of the printer is completely sealed off. It doesn't sit on feet or anything like that. It's just a plastic box square that sits down, and the heat just soaks underneath it. If you set it on a surface that can't pull the heat out of it or radiate the heat out of the bottom of the printer, you just set it on like a solid wood surface. It overheats in 7 hours. So what did I do? Cut a notch out of it and stick some small fans underneath it and splice them into the 12-volt rail. And just that little bit of airflow blowing over it, never overheated again.
Nice.
So, and I let Robo 3D know about it. And they're like, oh, we've never seen this problem before. You go look in the forums, and it's like every single person, like, why does my printer stop working after 6 or 7 hours? I don't get it. Oh, did you reboot your printer? Oh, it's working again. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Time enough to cool.
Yeah, just because they never ran. That's the thing with Robo that I hated. I hate to go on another Robo ramp. Actually, never mind. I love going on Robo ramps. Fuck that Braden guy. That Braden guy's a piece of shit. If he's ever working for a company in the 3D printing space and you find out this Braden guy's working, fuck him. Just like, don't buy anything. He's garbage human. I'll get into that story over on my Twitch channel. but needless to say, I basically showed them like all the problems with their printer, and their excuse whenever they came back to me was like, oh, it's actually manufactured and distributed out of China. Like, so they didn't even really get a look at it or put it through any heavy testing and go back and make changes.
It's still your problem.
Yeah. They just stole the design and modified it to make the case look like fancy. It's just a standard, Prusa looking design. It's not Prusa, but what do they call them? A standard Cartesian design. It was an open source design. They ripped off verbatim, used the cheapest possible parts they could, had them wired in a factory by hand incorrectly. All of them were wired incorrectly out of the box. You had to flip around some connectors. But the worst part about it was if you took the cover off it just looked like a printer that cost half as much. Yeah. Like they literally, all the money was in that plastic shell that just said Robo 3D on it that covered up the innards. And, but I remember telling them, I was like, dude, did you guys like test any of this shit? And they're like, well, oh yeah, no, we did testing during development and everything. But like when the final design was sent to China, they just mass produced them because it would have cost too much money to have them like run a batch and test it and then make changes, because each time they made changes, it costs money. They have to retool and everything to change it.
Guess,
so he said, just screw it. He's like, oh, well, these are, the 3D printing community is really smart and they'll be able to figure out these things. Like you figured it out, so they'll be able to figure it out too. And I was like, all right, what? Like, really?
How does that add up?
Yeah, and then he sends me the Robo R1, was it Mark II or whatever, the one that was like the upgraded version. He had to send me 3 printers because every printer he sent me had massive damage from shipping. Yeah. Wiring was wrong or backwards, or it had the parts were all loose and just dangling when I pulled it out of the box. It took me a week working on these printers and wrenching on them to get one of them. I pieced one together from the other 2 to get it working. And then once I barely got it working, I made a video and I sent it to them before I published it. And he's like, well, I feel like in your video, you're saying that there's an awful lot of problems with the printer. And I was like, yeah, because there is. And he's like, well, they'll be able to figure that out. And, I feel like you're telling people stuff that's going to make them not want to buy the printer, and that's, that's not why we sent the printer to you. I'm like, dude, I review.
That's my job.
I'm not paid. You sent me the printer to review. And he's like, oh, they'll be able to figure. I just don't think you're that good at 3D printing, really. I think other people will be able to figure it out like better. I was like, oh man, so now you're questioning me when I'm like the top 3D printing guy on YouTube, and I've done all the shit. Like I've had no problems with the Ultimakers. Well, I did. I had some, but I've worked with all this technology and everything. I'm one of the very few people in the private sector that are doing this shit on their own.
Yeah.
And he's trying to tell me that I'm not an expert when I point this shit out. My whole video was basically how to fix all the problems with this printer using the printer. So like how to get it out of the box and get it working just enough that you can start fixing the parts so that it gets better and better and better, just like I did for the first printer. And he's like, you know what, at this point you should just send those printers back or whatever. And I was like, fine. I was like, dude,
at your cost, send me
the shipping labels. Yeah. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. We spent all that money sending 3 printers over. You can pay to send them back. I said, if I don't get your labels in 24 hours, I'm going to take a picture on Instagram of these sitting out next to the curb with the garbage man picking them up. And then at that point he sent me the things. Then after the whole altercation, he tried to call and apologize, and I hung up and told him to fuck off. And then on social media he started threatening me with lawsuits and emails threatening me with lawsuits, and I was like, fuck you, bro.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's a terrible fucking guy. I hope he's not in the 3D printing industry. I don't think he's with Robo anymore, but wherever he landed, I really hope he's not affiliated with any 3D printing company, because that is the quickest fucking way to bury your 3D printing company, is to have that guy on the payroll. Like, just terrible fucking dude. But he threatened me a whole bunch. He lied to me a whole bunch too. Like I remember I went to Midwest Maker Fair or Midwest Rep Rap Festival, and the dude like hugs me, walks up and like hugs me when I'm walking by him, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh dude, hey, how's it going? He acted like nothing ever happened between us. And this is long after I already like shit on him, said I wanted nothing to do with him. He's like, look, we got like this 4-way color changer on the new Robo. What do you think of that? And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, if it works. And he's like, look, we got one right here and it's working. Look at that. I was like, he's like, here, we'll send you one for review. I was like, nope, I ain't doing it. He's like, dude, come on, just give it a chance. He's like, dude, we've worked out all the problems. It's like, this is super quality. I promise you, just let me send you one to review, dude. You're going to fucking love it. I told him, nope. I said, until I see somebody else using it and it's good, I'm not touching anything you guys make. It's all garbage. And he's like, ha ha ha, because there's people standing around. He was like, oh ha ha, you're such a jokester, blah blah blah. Anyways, I was like, fuck this guy. So sure enough, the printers go out to the reviewers, and the first one goes out to Joel, 3D printing nerd.
Oh, way to go!
Doesn't fucking work. Then he contacts them. They send him a second printer. It doesn't fucking work. The third one, hand delivered by a fucking white glove specialty, $150 or whatever, hired local person to like hand deliver it to him with a pristine box, everything good. He opens it up and the fucking screws bent inside of it and can't move the platform up and down. That means that every single one of these came from China with these problems. So you can imagine Joel's pissed off. Like halfway through the video of Joel's video, he's already like fucking just done with this thing. He's like, this is the biggest bucket of garbage. Robo has not learned anything. Like, holy shit, they fucked up on the R1, the R1 Plus, and now this. And it's the same problems over and over again, where they just have China manufacture the shit, never test it for any quality, and just have China ship direct to customers without them ever even testing what China made.
That's gross.
It's gross. It's absolutely gross. So Joel, at the end of the video, he finally pieces together. He spends days on this. It was supposed to be a simple review. He spends days ripping all 3 printers apart and gathering enough parts from all 3 to cobble together one functional printer. And then once it's functional, he's like, it's barely like a good printer. Like, it does print. I did get it to where it prints, but considering even not considering the problems that I had up until this point, it's like the screen is not responsive. It's an old style, touch screen where you have to mash your finger into it really hard to get it to respond. The touch screen is like just of a shitty quality. You can't even see. Like Joel, and Joel's a nice guy. Like Joel, it takes a lot to get Joel pissed off at something.
Right?
But you could tell throughout that video, that was the most, up until that point, that was the most angry I've ever seen Joel. And so I contacted Joel right after I saw the video, and I was like, dude, I got to tell you about this fucking run-in I had with Braden at Midwest Rep Rap Festival, because dude, I wish I had it on camera, because he was like, oh dude, we totally worked it out and it's perfect. He was even taking pre-orders at the show from people. Jeez. And it's because he had one unit that wasn't the unit China was manufacturing. It was the unit that they they were building and testing in-house. It was the final version. They never even checked to see if China like did any quality control or wired the things up properly or anything. So that just tells you with Braden, it's like 3 times he made the same mistakes, the exact same mistakes 3 times, and things even got worse in the end because the dude was such a penny pincher and such a fucking money grubber that he wouldn't even spend another 10 cents just to get them to use a proper switch. He wouldn't even spend another like $1 for the whole production of the printer to get it properly checked at the end of the assembly line to make sure that the workers plugged in the cables the right way when they can be plugged in 2 different ways. I was like, dude, the dude is just like seriously just the biggest but he's one of those guys where it's like when he talks to the public, he's like, he always acts like he's really nice and like they really care about their customers. But boy, did he get called out hard. Holy shit. When I showed him the video, well, I didn't show it to him. I posted it and he found it because I tagged him, obviously. But I tagged him in a video of me setting his old printer on fire with a flamethrower. And he literally messages and he's like, oh, could you please send us the broken parts from that printer that you burnt? Because we would love to put that back together into a perfectly working printer like it was and give it to charity. And I was like, first off, Braden, I'm not sending you shit because you're a liar. Nothing I send you will go to charity. You're just saying that for the benefit of the public. And then he's like, oh, no, we will make that good again because, you know, you just hate on us or blah, blah, blah. And he made a big deal. This is where he started threatening me in emails, telling me to stop or he's going to sue me. And I told him to fuck off and just kept doing it until he blocked me. But because that's what he does. He threatens to sue everybody. He thinks he's a big shot and he's just a piece of shit. So anyways, on Twitter,
so weird.
Everybody came out of the woodwork because he messaged me. He's like, I said, all your customers are getting fucked. I know so many people that have gotten your printer that you're just ignoring them. They're trying to RMA. They're trying to get a replacement. And they're having to go back through like Amazon if they were lucky enough to buy it from them and get it replaced through Amazon. And they still don't have a functional printer even today. And one of them are my good friends, Chelsea and Garrett, Chaos Core Tech. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, yeah, just no, we answer all of our tech support and we replace everybody's printers. He's like, yeah, just tell him to get in touch with me and we'll take care of that for him. So I immediately started tagging everybody I knew from the community that had problems with this new Robo 3D printer.
No, stop.
Cricket's chirping. No, what he did is he replied to him like because Garrett sent the message. I think it was Garrett had sent the message and said, yeah, we've had this printer. We've been trying to contact you for 6 months. You haven't replaced it. And these are content creators too, fellow content creators. Yeah. And he's like, we still didn't get replaced. We just put it under a table and just gave up after trying to contact you so long. And he's like, I'm really sorry this happens, but you know, maybe you contacted the wrong number or whatever, but hey, I'm going to get it taken care of for you guys. Go ahead and email me at this address. We'll go ahead and get it taken care of. So I sent out the email address. I retweeted it to everybody and said, hey, if you have a problem with your Robo 3D printer, you can contact him directly. And you can get it replaced. Not a single person got a reply, and Garrett never got his printer replaced.
Jeez.
So still to this day, if you ask, they still have not got a replacement printer for the one that showed a DOA in a box with everything wired up wrong. So I wish that somebody would have just sued the ever living shit out of him. Honestly, like if I felt like getting involved in it, I would have gone after him because I had all the discovery needed. Like if there's a class action lawsuit, I would have just handed everything I had over to help them just bury him.
Yeah, man, why not?
Because it just and it was his fault. Like I talked to the other workers. Oh, I got in trouble from him too because I contacted the engineers directly because I got sick of his runaround. And he actually called me on the phone. This is back when I was doing the R1 thing, and he or R1 Plus. He actually called me on the phone, answered, and he's all pissed off. And he's like, "Dude, why are you talking to my engineer?" Because their lead engineer was named Jerry. I found him and I contacted him. Why are you talking to my lead engineer? He's busy and he's working. You need to go through me for this shit or whatever. I was like, dude, I wasn't getting any responses from you. You were jerking me around. And you keep telling me that you keep saying it's not a problem when it clearly is a problem. So I contacted your engineer. You know what the engineer said when I contacted him? He's like, dude, I'm really sorry. I know what you're going through right now. Like, dude, we tried to get him to like fix this. And, you know, we tried to get this addressed or whatever, but he wouldn't. And he said it wasn't in the budget. And, you know, I just want you to know as an engineer, you know, between engineers, I tried to do my best, you know, to like get this shit done. And we're aware of it, but we just can't because of the timetable and the shipping and the QC and everything. He's like, I'm really sorry that you're going through all this. And he really did help me. Like he gave me the information to like fix a firmware problem that I had and some other things. But Braden was so pissed that I like went and talked to the engineers directly because he doesn't want anything getting out, right? He needs to control the message to the public. And he really, really got like threatened by that. And I was like, I contacted the engineers because you were jerking me around. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But luckily he's not there anymore. I just really hope he's not working for another 3D printing company because I don't know who the fuck would hire him after as much bad press as RoboGuy. I mean, it's seriously like one of the most worst rated 3D printers in all of history. They got to the point where they didn't even sell to the public anymore because like the number of downvotes that they got and low stars they got on their printers selling to the public were so bad that nobody would even buy them. So they just started selling to government and schools. And then the schools they sold to, I talked to some schools that got the Robos. like the county bought them for them. And they said that any given time, maybe 1 out of 8 printers in the lab is actually functional. Wow. They have to have a guy come in and like repair them and change parts on them and get them working all the time because they're just garbage. They're absolute garbage.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So
is it Robo 3D meant to be Ultimaker level? No. It was like the first one was like an $800 printer, and then the new one is the new one they made, the R2 or whatever, that was supposed to be competition to Ultimaker, and it had an Ultimaker-esque price tag too. But no, it was literally just garbage. It was a direct ripoff of the Ultimaker 1 when like the Ultimaker 2 was out, the Ultimaker 2. And and Ultimakers are super overpriced. Don't get me wrong, I love Ultimakers. They're great printers, but they're fucking stupid overpriced. Like I would never recommend an Ultimaker to anybody that wasn't like a business or somebody that was just printing. And even today I wouldn't recommend it to anybody because by today's standards they're no more better than printers you can get for like $600-800. So but back in the day they were like the most accurate, out of the box turnkey 3D printers that you could get. And honestly, they stood up to that. I mean, I've had many of them because and I've used lots of 3D printers that aren't Ultimakers. And with the exception of a few, they always required more work and a little bit more tuning and a little more finagling. The Ultimaker was like the Apple thing where it's like, here, we got our own slicer, we got our own unit. It's all tuned to work together. So it just worked, right? It was expensive. Right. Was this Braden Moreno? Yes, that's him. Yeah, it's Braden. The guy I'm talking about is Braden Moreno.
Ooh.
And don't you dare tell me he's working for another 3D printing company. It's just because this guy does not belong in this business at fucking all after the shit that he did.
Crazy stuff.
And this is my opinion of him.
Weird.
Like, take it or leave it. This is my opinion of the guy. I dealt with him. I gave him so many shots. I gave him so many things. He tried to buddy up to me after fucking up, and I started talking publicly about shit. He's like, "Oh man, I'm really sorry about that conversation. Sorry, I was just having a bad day, dude. Yeah, hey, I want to work through this." It's like, dude, the printer's already sent back. It's done. Like, I have the shipping labels. I sent them back. I was going to throw them in the garbage. No, I don't want you sending me any more. Oh, okay. No, I totally understand. But hey, if you ever want to review another printer, man, like hit me up. Like, whatever, dude. Like, nope, not going to happen. And then he like ambushes me at Murph and like fucking pulls me into a hug. And it's like, I didn't even know who he was at first.
So
like when he hugged me, because I'd never seen him in person up until that point.
Get off me.
I was like, why is this dude like hugging me next to the Robo booth or whatever? And he's like, oh, hey, what's up, dude? I'm like, hey, how's it going? I thought he was just a fan. And he's like, oh yeah, hey, dude. Yeah, I'm Braden, dude. I'm like, oh, and my face got really out of whack. I was like, dude, Satan just hugged me. Ask me how I really feel, right? Yeah, oh right. My God. Spicy.
Man, I gotta say.
Can't help it, Ox.
Yeah. No, it's all right. I get that way sometimes. Don't get me started stuff,
I know. I mean? It's like that's like one of the 3 topics that will just send me into a ludicrous rage. Is talking about the worst 3D printer on planet Earth. Yeah. And dude, there's so many people that will never do 3D printing again because the Robo was their first 3D printer.
Aww.
And they'll never come back to it because it was just such a terrible experience. They like, even though it's all same thing with VR. VR is very much the same way.
Yeah.
VR is one of those things where it's like, if you tried VR back in like the DK1 or DK2 days and you were sensitive to motion sickness, and man, you would never want to try VR again. Like there's still people to this day, they're like, nah, I'm not going to try the Quest 2. I'm not, no way. It's still bad.
I loved it, dude.
It's amazing.
It was like within a year or so of working with Puget, they had one of the first Vives, I think. One of the dev kits for something or another. Not Oculus. I think it was the Vive dev kit. Dev kit
the
1. Maybe?
The one that had the camera?
No, I don't think it was an Oculus. I don't think it was Oculus. I think it was a Vive dev kit, I think. I'm pretty sure. Because it's all black and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was early on. I was sold. I was like, dude, this is amazing. You're in it. Like, you're in it. It's amazing. And I remember as a kid going to the Pacific Science Center in like 97 or something.
Yeah.
And putting on a big ass clunky fucking like Game Boy, Virtual Boy looking head thing and big monster gauntlets and stuff and trying to hit these weird Lawnmower Man blocky 3D stuff.
I remember that.
And that was cool too. But holy cow, man, it's insane. These stuff, the way virtual reality stuff is right now is amazing.
Yeah, the tracking was like flawless on them too. Like even by today's standards, the tracking on the HTC Vive was like the best. Still, I mean, it still is today. Man. Even like the Valve Index, which still basically uses the same tracking, just even slightly more accurate.
Yeah.
It's the same shit. It's like so good. But now inside out tracking is just as good. It's like I don't even notice a difference unless I'm trying to like reach behind my back and stuff like that. So now it's gotten to the point where we went from headsets that you have a bunch of wires hanging off of you. The screens could only refresh at like, 90 frames per second or whatever.
It's amazing how fast they came out with a purely wireless solution. Like amazing. It was like 2 years. Great. I mean, it's shocking. I love it.
Well, where it's at today, just like give you an idea if you guys haven't tried it out since back in the day, like the Rift dev kit sucked. I mean, it was a cool experience. Don't get me wrong. It was fun to put on and stuff, but like you couldn't stay in it for longer than like a half an hour without getting like a headache.
Right.
The HTC Vive DK1, actually had a more tolerable screen for people with motion sickness than the DK2. The DK2 made a lot more people sick, but the problem is most people were introduced through the DK2. So a lot more people got sick and didn't want to come back to it. But then when you fast forward through the generations and you go through like the Vive Pro, and then you work your way up to the Quest 1, there was OLED screens per eye, and then the OLED 2, or the LCD higher refreshing screens in the Quest 2 that do 120 hertz. It's like game changer. The resolution is so high. There's no screen door effect at all. The color saturation is absolutely gorgeous. Even in the Quest 2, the Quest 1 has OLED screens, so better black levels. But for brightness and punch, the Quest 2 is like the headset I always go to. Like I prefer my Quest 2 over my Valve Index. I have a $1,000 Valve Index with laser tracking. And the controllers are absolutely phenomenal. But when I play 99% of my VR, whether I'm watching content, YouTube, sitting in the movie theater, talking to people in VR chat, or any of that stuff, I always use the Quest because I have no cables attached to me. I don't need a computer attached, or if it is a high game like Alex or something, I want to play Half-Life Alex, I can do it through Wi-Fi 5 or Wi-Fi 6. Wirelessly, so I don't even need a wire, and it feels better. It's like higher resolution than using my freaking Valve Index, and it's 120 hertz versus I think the Index is 144 hertz. But honestly, I don't really notice. Like 120 hertz is like about where my eyes are happy and everything's good. Even 90 hertz on the Quest 2, the way they implemented it with like the little tricks that they do for bleeding the images and stuff. Even 90 hertz is very, very smooth. Whereas if you try 90 hertz on like a HTC Vive and you knock it down to 90 hertz, it's painful. But on a Quest 2, it's like you don't even really notice that much. I have to double check sometimes because I'll be like, is it 120 hertz? Because I'm pretty sure it is. And then I go back and look and it's at 90 and I have to turn it back up to 120. Yeah. But now you have a wireless headset with a strap that's comfortable around your head, even laying down because it's low profile. You have a battery inside of it. You have the computer inside of it. You can use a high powered PC in your house over the network for the higher, graphical games. You can control your PC, just like you can even have a real keyboard in real life and a real mouse and map that into VR if they're the right ones, and completely wirelessly with a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, like control your setup in another room with like 100 virtual monitors connected to it like you're in the fucking Matrix.
Nice.
So there's all these things you can do, and people don't really realize it because they never went back and tried the technology again because they had a bad experience with the earlier version. Yeah. And the truth is, I love this. This is what I watched Transformers. Was it Revenge of the Dark, the first one, the good one?
Yeah.
So before what was her name, Megan Fox or whatever, went batshit crazy or whatever. So I watched it in VR using this thing called Skybox VR Player, and you're actually sitting in a movie theater. So it's a giant like IMAX movie theater, and you can choose where you want to sit, like in the middle or in the back or in the front row. And you have full depth perception and directional sound. So if you turn your head, the sounds are still coming positional relative to your head in the screen, just like in a real movie theater. And so you sit in there and you feel like laying in bed, sitting back with earbuds in, spatially from the audio and from the depth perception, you feel like you're sitting like 60 feet from a screen in a big movie theater. And it feels really wide open. And after watching it for like a minute, your brain completely forgets that you're in VR. You literally feel like you're sitting in a movie theater. All your head movements are like perfectly tracked and everything. The screen looks razor sharp, super great resolution. So it's so much better. The HTC Vive doesn't look good at all watching movies and stuff like that. The resolution isn't really high enough. You get jaggies and stuff in screen door. With this, it's nothing. It's like you feel like you're sitting in a huge room looking off into the distance at this giant screen. And it's awesome. It relaxed me. Like sitting here watching this movie with the sound cranked up with my wife sitting right next to me. She can't hear anything because I have earbuds in. But for me, I'm sitting in a movie theater with like this huge 21.1 surround sound experience. Everything's going on the screen. I'm just like chilling, sitting back, just like watching this movie. I'm looking around at the screen. Your head moves just relative to the screen. And it relaxes you because you feel like you're in a new place. And I wish more people would experience that before they condemned VR, be like, it's not for me. Even if you're not a VR gamer, just literally being in VR with your hands tracked, because the Quest tracks hands.
It's so neat.
Dude, it's so neat.
Really
you see your hands.
cool.
Your hands are 3D modeled in the world. So you can actually go in YouTube. It's like Minority Report. In YouTube, you're just like, next video. Okay, reach. Oh, I see a video over there. Okay, drag it over here. Let go. Okay, play. Pinch, stop. Fast forward, frame by frame. Everything you do on the PC, you can do with just your hands and a wireless headset walking around your house or sitting stationary.
Yeah.
And dude, it's a great experience. I actually enjoy watching things in VR more than I do just watching them on the screen. The main reason for me watching on the screen is just if I don't feel like I want to have pressure on my eyes or I don't want to have something on my head. That's the only, or I just don't want, it's not charged enough and I don't think it's going to make it through a full movie or something like that. Those are the reasons I use the normal setup, or if I'm watching with other people, obviously, because that's hard to do in VR. But that's what I love, just putting that thing on at night and just like watching movies and watching TV. And YouTube is like a giant screen that's like 300 inches, like, 20 feet away from you. And you can scale it to whatever you want and put it as close or as far away as you want and just like make your own VR multimedia room. It's just, dude, it's badass. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, Shoe Nice. What's up, dude?
What up?
We got Shoe Nice, the legend, in the house.
Quit drinking and training to knock out Logan Paul. Oh,
all done with the booze.
I think you may be joking. I don't know.
No. Shoe Nice is like, dude, you need booze to survive. Isn't your body like adapted to need that booze? Come on, bro. Oh, somebody asked me earlier what my favorite Quest game is. Synth Riders as right now. I like Synth Riders followed by Beat Saber. Nice. Followed by what is it called, Oculus Hub or whatever. What's it? I play with my son. You run around, do like mini games like paintball and stuff, but it's like a multiplayer thing. You play paintball, laser tag, driving vehicles around and stuff. It's actually really fun. It's like all the games. So wow, so quit drinking at 12:52 now. Oh, started drinking at 12 and he's 52 now. Okay, so you got to slow it down a little bit. For somebody who hasn't drank, you still sound drunk there, Shoe Nice. However,
he hasn't donated 50 pounds. So
he didn't donate 50. Dude, you didn't pay the admission, sir, to act this weird in chat. No, I'm just kidding. You know what, Shoe Nice? If you knock out Logan Paul, actually Jake Paul, either of the Pauls. If you knock out either of the Pauls or one of the Island Boys, I will give you $100. And I'm like broke as shit right now, dude. Like that $100 is like life's blood to me and my family right now. Like I'm at that stage that every YouTuber goes to where it's like they hit their peak and then they fall off. And like, pretty soon I'm going to be like, doing things behind dumpsters and shit to pay my bills. Yeah. And I will still find a way to give you $100 if you make that happen. Period. Oh my gosh. Shoe Nice is in there just dropping spoilers. Oh no. Don't do it, Shoe. I haven't seen it yet. That's
no, I think
he's just joking.
He's just messing around.
No, but dude, I messed around once and I got in big trouble. Did I ever tell you the Star Trek story where I said that? So on Twitter, everybody when the first not Star Trek, sorry, when the first Transformers movie was coming out, everybody was like just super jacked about it, right? It was like social media was ablaze, like because this is the first Transformers movie. And everybody's like, oh my God, we got to see it. And so on the day before it came out in theaters, I did a tweet. And the tweet said, was it Optimus Prime gets stabbed in his battery and all the acid leaks out at the end and he dies. Oh, jeez. And that's literally to the T exactly what happens at the end of the movie. And I was just guessing. I was just being a dick, right? I was just like, making shit up. Like people, oh my God, spoilers. Oh, it didn't spoil. And then I watched the movie because somebody came back the next day. You ruined it. And sure shit. What's his nuts, the bad guy, I can't remember, Gravitron, Gullbalzatron, whatever his name is, he literally stabs Optimus Prime in the Allspark, which is essentially his battery, right? His glowy energy battery thing, and it basically like starts like leaking out and the dude's like no, and he dies. I was like, what? I mean, obviously he doesn't like die, they bring him back, but I could not believe that just like a random thing that I just put, because I didn't really know the story or anything. I just pulled that out of my ass as a joke and it ended up being exactly the ending of the movie. So I spoiled Transformers for hundreds of thousands of people completely on accident, just guessing. So, and I even tried to guess something that wasn't true. Like Optimus Prime isn't going to die. He isn't going to get stabbed in his battery. Like that's a joke, right? That's not realistic. That's not going to happen. It's freaking Optimus Prime. He has to be alive forever. And when I watched that, yeah, Megatron, it was Megatron spoiler. When I saw, and I even think I said that, if you guys can find the old tweet, it's older than shit, but if you can find the old tweet, it was something like Megatron stabs him in the battery and all of his acid leaks out or some shit. I don't think I said Megatron though. I think I just said the bad guy stabs him in the battery and all of his acid leaks out and he dies. But when I saw that movie and I watched that, I was just like, I felt so much shame. I was like, I ruined that movie for so many people. And people, like, I explained that I didn't know that was the ending. And I just guessed, but people didn't believe me. There was people so mad they unfollowed me because they're like, dude, no, you totally saw it. It's obvious that you saw it. I was like, totally just spitballing, 100% spitballing. So be careful when you're fake spoiling movies, because it turns out writers these days are about as lazy as your imagination, and there's a good chance you get it right, or somebody gets it right.
I guess often enough. Like it's kind of fun.
So anyways, Shoe Nice, if you want that $100, you know what you got to do, dude. You know what you got to do. I want to see somebody knock out the Island Boys. That would be fun.
That'd be fun,
dude. I'm over that, man. I'm over the whole thugging. I'm thugging like at 90 pounds, soaking ass wet. Like honestly, I'd take them on. Island Boys, if you guys want, like I'll do one of these YouTuber boxing matches, and I'm basically like crippled. Like I'll go in there and fight both of you at the same time, like for YouTube money. Let's do it, man. Are you guys straight thugging? Shit, I'll get in there. Bare knuckle boxing. Let's do it.
Jeez.
That'd be funny. It'd be a spectacle.
Yeah. Got banned on
Jim Torres got banned on Twitch stream the other day. Did drop an F-bomb. Is that why? No, you wouldn't get banned for dropping an F-bomb. It'd be the context in which you dropped the F-bomb. But if you think it was by mistake,
probably other words.
Just appeal it. If you think it was an accident, accidents do happen. It's rare, but they do happen. If you think it was not warranted or out of context or whatever, then just go through the appeal process. Head on over to the Discord server, discord.gg/Barnacules, and just go through the process, and the mods will check it out and go back and look at the screenshot and pass communication. And as long as everything looks good, they'll unban you.
There you go.
I thought the Island Boys were faking it. I don't think you can fake that level of dumb.
Yeah.
Shit, it's 1 o'clock already. Oh my god.
Yes, sir.
Dude, this first episode of 2022, the man is like
fast.
Went by fast. Damn, that's a good sign though. When it goes by fast, that means you're having a good time.
Yeah, we had fun.
Miss Liz said most hated guy on Twitter that summer. Oh, are you talking about Logan Paul or Jake Paul? Well, they're always hated though.
Yeah,
I've never seen a time where those guys aren't hated. You would fall over fighting the Island Boys? No, it'd be the one time I'd actually remain standing. Like I'd fall over just normally just standing too long, but no, fighting the Island Boys, I think I could get up enough adrenaline to just rail those guys. And I'm like 40. I'd do it. I'd do it for internet money, like internet money and internet clout. Like I don't know if they consider me big enough. I usually get retweeted like 5 times, so I don't think I'm big enough for them to give a shit about or what. But if they want to take a chance, man, if they want to get in the ring or whatever, be like, oh, Barnacules versus the Island Boys, let's do that shit, man. Like give the money to charity. I mean, I just need enough for my medical expenses because I'll probably have like 2 scratches on my arm or something. I don't want to get infected. Oh my god. Well, at least I'm funny to myself. All right. Well, let's start wrapping her up here. All right. Let's see what do we got here. We didn't talk about James Webb Telescope. We'll talk about it. That's been going well. We can say that. James Webb Telescope is unfolding.
So far,
so good.
I think it's completed all of its unfolding. It just needs to get into place. Ooh. Yeah.
No, that's awesome because that was like the most scary part of the mission.
Let me see here. I'm pretty sure they're James Webb Telescope finishes deployment in space. So now it's just it's like a month-long journey to L2.
Yeah, because it's gonna be out past the moon, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
there's like a stable spot.
Such good pictures. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be baller.
Cool. I mean, they still have to. I think there's talk like, we could be taking pictures like right now, but it'd be like 18 super blurry chunks of a picture because like they've got to dial in how the mirrors are like
the calibration of it.
They got to tune it in and stuff once it's in place. He's like, we could be taking pictures and collecting data right now, but it'd just be a bunch of fuzzed out nonsense. It'd be useless. We got to get it in place first. There was a New York Times one I skimmed through. And but yeah, it's done. It's successful. Everything went super smooth. It seems, GG's all around. It's just waiting for it to get into place.
Isn't it crazy how much time they spend on some of these projects? Like where just one little thing going wrong just ruins the whole thing.
This thing was supposed to have launched in like 2007 or something. This has been a long time coming.
It's like 10x over budget or something like that. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. This thing almost didn't happen. I know it's been worked for over 20 years, like from conception to completion. It's like 20 plus years. And this thing was able to be launched, folded up in origami, launched in a rocket, unfolded over the course of like a week or whatever, little by little, because this thing is like very complicated how it folds out and everything has to deploy in a certain order. And the sun shield is like really complicated origami, like the way it has to deploy and stretch and like pop out. And then it needs the solar panels to work. Not a single wire can come loose. Like the level of precision here is just next level that these guys did this. And the pictures that we get from this thing are going to make Hubble look like a goddamn kaleidoscope. Like, the stuff that they're expecting from the watch, it'll be just like Hubble. They get up there and find out the lens is warped. That'd be so bad. That'd be so, oh my God, I'd be so sad if that happened. But no, something tells me this time around they made sure the optics were good on the ground before they launched them into space. They have a lot more testing now. The last thing we were just gonna really quick touch on, CES 2022. So closed the day early, not a lot of people actually at the event. I've been watching some videos. I mean, some good, they announced some decent technology and stuff. Was there anything that you saw that came out that kind of caught your eye?
The color changing BMW.
Oh, that was pretty tight. That was pretty tight. That's so I can,
that's pretty cool.
Hopefully. Oh, see, I don't think they could legally do that in an automotive car though, because your color of your car is listed with your registration. So if you're driving on the street in a red car, you can repaint
your car. So like you don't have to update your registration when you paint your car.
I think you're supposed to, though.
Yeah, maybe you're supposed to.
I think if a cop pulls you over and it's the wrong color car, he's going to be like, oh, we got to update this shit or something. But
yeah, I feel like that's something they wouldn't be too persnickety about. Okay, fine. Beep, boop, beep. Now it's red again.
It's true. As the cops, okay. Like the cops pull up, you're putting on your seatbelt and changing your car back to white. Dude, you know what would be so funny, though, is you turn your car like purple and you speed and he pulls over like a purple car and puts in the Discovery, it's purple. And then you like pull up to the courthouse. And you're like, no, it's factory white. You can clearly see it's right there. That's the car with the red. It's got the same VIN number. Look, that guy's blind as shit. Yeah. That would be pretty funny. For me, it would be the new display technologies coming out in 2022. Oh, so the new 8K mini LED backlit LCD screens that are on par with the performance of an OLED, but like 10 times the brightness. And so that's why I've been it's one of the reasons, but I'm holding off on upgrading my screens after the whole debacle with Costco and 70 some days getting a return on the C1s, because the LG C1s just didn't work out. They were nothing like what I was expecting. Beautiful picture, great for playing games, just shit computer monitors for regular computer things. So I'm probably not going to go OLED with my next monitors. I'm going to go with QD or quantum dot LED, which basically is like they put blue LEDs in instead of a red, green, and blue LED. They put in 3 blue LEDs, and then they use a quantum dot layer that's like this printed. Think of it like a phosphor on a CRT, where the LED illuminates it, and then it fluoresces, right? So with these like quantum dots, you can get like an 8K TV that does like 25 or like 4,000 lumens or something like that potential, that has absolute perfect blacks, just like an OLED. No blooming, because it's a full array backlight, which means there's a backlight, for very small groups of pixels. So yeah. And they even did a thing now where it used to be just like blocks, like because of processing power, there's only boxes of LEDs that would get illuminated in the back for HDR content. So you'd see blooming around stuff like round objects, you'd see blooming. Now they have the new stuff where it's actually only lighting the LEDs that are behind pixels that are the phosphors that are being lit. Like the backlight itself is only turning on under pixels that need that light. Yeah. And they're adding some new layers. So basically, in a nutshell, what you're getting is 99.9% of OLED performance. As far as the visual representation of the screen, still super low input lag. It's never going to touch OLED though, but it's like 1 ms or less input lag, which no human's going to notice. Yeah. And the color saturation is on par with OLED, but way brighter. So it's actually a usable screen in a very bright environment. So as soon as these QD LED screens drop here in 2022 from Samsung, and I think Sony's dropping them, and I think even LG is dropping them. They call them different things, but they're all quantum dot LED backlit or whatever. Once that comes out, I'm going to take a close look at it. And as long as the price is right, as long as I can get at least one of the big screens to replace the 3 that I already have, I'm going to go that route. And if they do have 3 screens that are smaller that are quantum dot, I doubt that's going to happen, that are sub $2,000. I may go for my final 3 monitor setup, even though I said I might be going down to 1 monitor. I might do one more round with 3 monitors just because I like having, all this space across the desk filled. It'd be weird just having one screen. I get used to it no matter what. But the new screen technology is crazy this year. And as long as the pricing is like good and better than what we're expecting, then yeah, that's going to QD LED is what I got my eyes on with full array dimming. And if I go 1 screen, it's going to be 8K. If I go 3 screens, it's going to be 4K. So spoilers. No,
yeah, that's it, man.
All right, Aux, you got anything to crank off these people before I do the little outro and kill us dead?
So no, thanks everybody for hanging out and all that stuff, and
huge
all
thanks
your
to
super
everybody.
chats and
Totally
sub. I think I saw people subbing or joining and stuff like that.
You guys are awesome. I appreciate it.
So yeah, we appreciate all the support, and tell your friends and all that stuff as well. Like that's I always say this at the end of my streams when I do is like, even like the money stuff is great, but honestly, just being here is super cool. You guys,
we definitely don't do this for money at this point because we don't make we make more money literally doing anything else.
Yeah.
But we appreciate it. You guys at least pay us enough that we can, pay a cable bill or something every once in a while.
Right? Yeah, it's fun.
Tamu Disu said QD LED is the OLED is the next advancement of OLED. Yeah, no, that's true. LG announced
the quantum dot stuff.
Yeah, because now they figured out that even the OLEDs, even though there's not a backlight, the individual LED can illuminate a quantum dot. So which increases the brightness. So now you have OLED screens that still have that black level, but way more brightness.
Nice.
So keep an eye out for those too. Plus, they still are subject to burn-in. Like a lot of people think, they solved burn-in with the quantum dots. No, they're still burn-in because it's still an individual LED for red, green, and blue. It's just they're all blue now, shining through quantum dots. So you can still have the LEDs get weak and create burn-in. So it's just not going to be as bad. And with the extra brightness, you'll be able to pull it back to like regular OLED brightness, and that's even going to drop burn-in more. So no, it's all really cool stuff. But like if you want the best image quality and color accuracy possible, the QD OLED is probably going to be like the end all for everything right now. However, if you want to sacrifice 1% to get a shitload more brightness and half the price for the screen, then QD
OLED.
Is it? No, not OLED. I'm talking about the regular LED, the QD LED or whatever. The one Samsung's doing. That's not OLED.
Okay.
It's like conventional. No, it's not LCD. No, that's right. Because if it's LCD, it couldn't be quantum dot. So I guess it would be QD OLED. Is that what is Samsung only doing QD OLED? Because I thought they were doing backlights.
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at the technology again. But man, no, I'm excited about it. The quantum dot stuff is like game changer though. Like I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's some of the stuff I like. You go and the demos are always like oversaturated and they look super great, and stuff. But even still, like it is really cool.
It is. And just to let you guys know, David Hewlett will probably be back in a couple of episodes. He's busy shooting right now. He messaged us and told us that he misses us and wants to rejoin the show here soon. But he's off shooting and making his living doing his actor gig, which probably makes a lot more money than zero, like it does here. But he said he is excited to come back. So you guys will probably see him in early February and possibly late January. So So just keep an eye out for him. He's always going to be, our third code host here for as long as we can possibly have him, because it's a pleasure. As for the rest of you guys, thank you so much for dropping by to the first Tech Talk of 2022 with me and the Aux Boy. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the channel follows. Thank you for everything that you guys do. If you want to see what, if you want to rent AuxxZillary's little spot over there, hit him up on the sidelines. We are going to look for some full channel sponsors. Hit me up if you're interested in that. Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, check the video description if you want to see what we guys do when we're not doing this show together. We also both have our own independent live streaming stuff we do over on the Twitch. All of our links are down below, including social media and everything else. So we'd love to hear from you guys between shows, because we only do this once a week. So hey, there's a lot of time for you guys to reach out to us and hit us up on Twitter and all that stuff. I think that's everything. So 112. Damn, man, that went by so fast. I can't believe how fast that went by. It's crazy.
Nice.
All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. Love your faces. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yes.
Gotta give them a little kiss,